Thank you very much. Yeah, welcome all to the second day. We are, like Scala said, we're starting out with Star Wars today, and our effervescent runner is going to be IndyKenobi. Please tell us about this category that we're going to be seeing today. Feel free to introduce your couch. Tell us what we have to look forward to.
Yes, so hi everyone, my name's IndyKenobi. I'm going to be doing this speedrun of all quests, no major glitches. So KOTOR has 2 categories, but then each of those categories is subdivided into 3 rule sets. So any percent is beat the game as fast as possible. We're doing all quests. The game has 100 quests and we're going to complete all of them. We also have, for rule sets, unrestricted, which is all glitches go. No major glitches. What we're doing allows some glitches, but not the really game-breaking ones, so you'll actually recognize some gameplay from time to time. And then there's also glitchless if you really like the cutscenes. So we'll be doing all quests, no major glitches. It's a really fun category, and it's kind of new. Not a lot of people have run it, so I'm really excited to get to show it off here. With me, I have both Range and binksmagnus to commentate. Say hi.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm Range. I like to speedrun. And yeah. This is the tame category. So,
yeah. I'm Binks. I also run this game. And yeah, hi. Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Binks is actually the other person to run this category. He built the route that was initially the route, and then I sort of tweaked it a little bit. So we should have a good time. Just to show you, I have no save games up my sleeve. We're starting from scratch. So let's get going. So we're going to pick a male scout for our character. Male is slightly faster than a female character because it changes who you have to romance. So it's about a minute faster. I always do mullet man for our model here. We're going to load up on strength because we're going to be hitting things with a lightsaber for most of the run. And then we're going to take a little bit of dexterity and constitution to help us survive better. Intelligence is important because we're going to be doing some hacking, and that makes our computer use a little more efficient. And then we need charisma to pass some key persuade checks. Behind all of KOTOR's combat and everything is Dungeons and Dragons. So we're going to be doing some persuasion rolls, and we want to have enough charisma to pass the key ones. For skills, we're going to put a bunch into treat injury so that we can be more efficient with our healing. 1 point in security is for a skip on the very first level, as well as opening some random apartments on terrace. The point in stealth is just so we get a stealth field generator in the first footlocker, and we immediately sell it for 40 credits, but we really need that money. And then 4 points in computer use, as I said, for the hacking. So that we can hit things more easily on terrace, we're going to take weapon focus for melee weapons. And then Happy Bear wanted us to name our character SB Anthony for Susan B. Anthony.
Shout out.
So we are ready to go. Timing will start. I'll do just a little count. 3, 2, 1, go. So 3, 2, 1, go.
So the first glitch you're going to see here is called a hard buffer, and basically it just means we're quick saving into a cutscene trigger, and then we can open the menu from the top right manually and quick load manually load the quick save, and that effect completely breaks the cutscene at the beginning. And yeah, you're gonna see that a ton. As much as we can do it, sometimes hard buffering a cutscene will just like soft lock the game, so we can't just buffer every single thing. But we can buffer a lot, and we're going to. So yeah.
There's about a half-second delay between the end of a quick save screen and the initiation of any cutscene that you currently have buffered, so we're going to use that throughout the entire run, either to skip cutscenes entirely or to strategically play them at certain points that skip other cutscenes, which we'll see coming up later in the level.
Yeah, and I said this was the tame category earlier. That was slightly sarcastic. It's the name would imply, but it's actually crazy. So
it's tamer than unrestricted.
It's tamer, but it's still gonna break so much stuff. But definitely some good old builds.
I think it will be more fun to watch than unrestricted. So we grenade
Well,
those.
that's just like your opinion, dude.
Yeah. You grenade those 3 Sith soldiers. This is the tutorial segment of the game, and so certain doors are locked until you kill certain Sith soldiers. So we have to kind of progress through as quickly as we can. We use a frag grenade on those 3 because otherwise it would take Trask a while to shoot them. Trask is like hard carrying us through the Endar Spire here. He's way overpowered.
Trask's damage is carrying you, but it might be worth pointing out that you're literally immortal right now. You can't die on the first level of the Spire. So you could just
True.
punch everything to death. It would take forever.
Range, you want to explain this one?
Like all the glitches. Okay, alright, so you're open buffering right now. There's a bunch of different types of buffering, right? We can manipulate cutscenes so freely in this game. And basically, we are extending a cutscene. We're like delaying it until we open a door, and then that door triggers another cutscene. But since we're already delaying the first cutscene, it overwrites the second one, and we can like use cutscenes to skip other cutscenes. Yeah, like lots of manipulation of cutscenes going on.
Yeah, it's actually pretty remarkable how much of NMG's speed tech is just based on spamming the quick save button and then stop spamming quick save at strategic moments.
Yeah, a lot of the, you know, it's one of those games, quick saves, and it allows us to do countless things. There's so many glitches in this game. There's like dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens. And then you get one glitch and there's like 50 applications of that. So we finished the first area, Endar Spire. I want to say the Endar Spire is super, like, everyone's Endar Spire is very good, very optimized. Like, there's so much tech that everybody has learned over the years. And it's super, super sweaty. And now we're in the hideout.
We even have an IL category for the Endar Spire.
Like, I love seeing the no major glitches and glitchless strats for Spire. With all the, like, various targeting stuff you can do.
Sure.
Okay,
Do
so
another-
Come a long way.
on Terrace there are 5 bounty quests we have to do, so we're gonna start the first of those here. And I'm not gonna mess up this menu. Shopping routes are very specific,
Ready? Sure.
so we have to be kind of.
Who are you?
We actually get down to 22 credits worth of leeway
Sure.
in the route, assuming no random drops. So we have to be a little bit careful.
Ready?
So this is the first instance of another glitch that we're going to be using periodically called a gather party warp. So you saw Indy save buffer as he headed towards that loading zone that was grayed out because Karth was out of range. So if you save buffer into a load zone like that, the game checks that all your party members are nearby, and if they're not, it displays a message saying that you have to gather your party to move forward. However, what it actually does is warp you to a point near the closest load zone to you, and if you switch characters right after the save buffer before that message displays, it'll actually warp the other party member. So what he did was he buffered into the load zone, quickly swapped to Karth, and then Karth got warped to the nearest load zone to him, which just happened to be the one that the main character was standing at.
So yeah, we stopped into the cantina to get a Pazak deck, and then also to get invited to a party. So we're doing all these quests. Terrace has a ton of quests. So we had to make a little pit stop, right? New area, always got to make pit stops, always got to talk to everybody, get a quest. Here we're about to go talk to Zelka. He's like the doctor in this area of Terrace, and we're gonna buy some stims from him. And then we're also gonna get a quest related to getting a Rakghoul serum, and his partner's gonna talk to us too.
Yes?
We also buy the nerve enhancement package from Zelka, which is an implant that gives us immunity to mind-affecting status effects for the entirety of the run as soon as we can equip it at level 4.
That's
Which
so
is really,
important.
it's super important because Dark Jedi really like to stun you and cast fear on you, and it saves a bunch of time to just be completely immune to that. It's also one of the reasons that we picked the Scout starting class.
Yeah, Scout is
get the
really good.
implant feats for
Yes?
free, so we can equip that. That's why we have to wait till level 4. We don't get the high enough implant feat.
Please.
Scout is just so good in like glitchless and no major glitches, and then Scoundrel is so good in unrestricted.
Yeah, Scout also just has really good defensive all-around capability.
Mhm.
Like its saving throws are pretty balanced. And...
So we went to the party. They all got messed up. They drank some real strong stuff.
Parisian
we're gonna-
ale not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
All right.
Teresian ale, yeah. And then we loot the Sith uniform. So it was actually a Sith party. So we just fraternized with the enemy for a bit.
And while Karth was partying with the Sith, the main character went and killed Largo, another one of the bounty targets on Terrace.
Yeah, so a lot of like little micro movement stuff there. Here we're gonna do a GP warp to warp Karth to the elevator, which is then gonna force the Sith guard to talk to you, which that cutscene also warps the main character over. So we like utilize all these various like kind of things that are just part of the game, like the fact that the Sith guard warps the main character over. We like combine it with a glitch to get like so much utility out of everything, just the way the game works.
All right. Someone needs to remind me when I come back here that I teleported over that trigger.
Hey.
Got it.
Oh, okay. The gang war cutscene.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So normally this guy here, what's his name, Gadden, will take the Sith uniform from you, the Sith armor. But because of your kind donations, we're going to be keeping it. So that's why we sent Karth away, because Karth is wearing the Sith armor, and if he's not in your party when you talk to Gadden, then it won't be able to take away that particular Sith armor. And so we're just gonna keep it.
Yeah, it's actually
Eventually-
pretty useful. The Sith armor has defensive capability or defensive bonuses that are basically identical to Jedi Knight Robe. So
Yeah.
it's pretty nice to keep really early.
All right. So
And you can cast force powers while you're wearing it, which is even more important.
That's gonna be most important since we're gonna be wearing it for the whole run.
So just buffered another cutscene, and we're gonna run into this apartment, and this is the last bounty already, or
this
besides
is-
Bindak.
The way we're doing
We have
the route is
Matrix.
the third one.
Oh, you haven't done Matrix. Oh yeah, you're right. You go to later.
Yes?
Okay. Yeah. So this is Selvin. Selvin's on the run. I don't know why. So we let Karth.
Uh-oh.
It looks like the stream froze. Indy.
Come on, you're usually
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Alright. Oh yeah, the stream we were watching froze for a bit.
Stop right.
But it's all good now?
No.
Alright, so Selvin's getting shot. And Karth is taking care of the other guards so that we can run out of here. We're gonna GP warp Karth back to the entrance with the main character so that we can exit the loading zone.
What?
Because we probably mentioned this earlier, but you can't exit a loading zone
Yes.
without all of your party members nearby. The game restricts that. So, alright, we're basically done with the lower city for now. We will come back and wrap things up. But if you played this game, you know it goes upper city, lower city, under city. So it's time to go to the undercity. We got papers from Gadden, leader of the Hidden Becks. You also notice that Indy is saving his level up here in the bottom left. And when you level up, you get recovered to full health. So that's usually why you save it. There might be another reason that I don't know about. Just kind of save it, wait till you need it,
Yeah,
and
that's the main reason, is to heal at a particular time. You can also combine it with other menus if you're trying to be really efficient.
yeah, that too. Yeah, like there we didn't really need to heal because it'll be a while till we. Also, no major glitches. It's not as
Ready?
dire as in
Sure.
glitchless.
Please. It is.
So you
But
saw
I
him
bet you can
swapping,
die a little
you
bit.
saw him swapping back and forth between the main character and Karth there to move Karth over to a pretty specific point here in the Undercity. There's a few things we need to do in Undercity. We need to collect Promised Land journals for the Promised Land quest. We need to get the Rakul serum for Zelka's quest, and also for the, well, I guess the light side ending for Infected Outcasts needs it, but we just killed the Outcasts. Blink and you missed it. These things are on the opposite side of the Undercity, so normally they're kind of a pain to go track down. But we can put Karth in the corner of the Undercity settlement and then do a GP warp to put him basically right next to the Rakul serum. And he'll pick it up, and we can activate this cutscene with Igear to warp Karth back to us. So it's a really
Great.
ingenious strategy that Indy came up
Yeah,
with.
that's really cool. Yeah, and Karth was like fighting like 7 Rackles, and honestly, he'd probably die if we just let him stay over there. So, once again,
Yeah,
using the
actually-
fact that NPCs warp you
Yeah,
to our advantage.
we want Karth to kill some of those Rascals, really as many as possible, because we're trying to hit a couple important XP thresholds. We want to be as high a level as possible before we do the dual ring, and then we also want to hit level 6 before we become a Jedi on Dantooine. So we do have to do a little bit of extra grinding, I guess. It's sort of grinding, but we try to do it in as least
all on the way.
grindy a way as possible.
Yeah, in the original incarnation of this route, I killed all of those Rackles just for the XP because there's so much XP you get from them. But
Yeah, no major
the
glitches.
optimizations that
You skip enough stuff where like you definitely need to route in like equipment and XP very well.
Well, we used to want to be level 5 before the dual ring because then we got some extra feats and attack powers to make that more consistent. But because of a glitch called damage stacking, we're able to be a little looser with that restriction. And so we're going to try and get almost all the way to level level 5, but not quite. We can be like level 4.9 and it's fine.
So one thing we haven't mentioned yet, right before Indy entered the sewers, he used the stim, I'm assuming in Alacrity, on Karth. And you do it right before you enter the load zone because there's this glitch that is called duration glitch, we just call it that, because it kind of tells you what it does. Basically, if you enter a load zone with a status effect active, the game kind of freaks out and it increases the duration of that effect, like exponentially, basically. I mean, it takes a while, like you have to enter multiple load zones to get it to really stick, but, and I don't know exactly how it works, it may not actually be exponentially, but it's more than just doubling it. It's like, it greatly improves the effectiveness of the stims and the force powers.
and we enter load zones so frequently in NMG that it extends it quite a bit.
Yeah, so getting the most use out of stims. And we're getting the last journal here. In the promise journal.
No wonder we haven't uploaded. So this section has a lot of nice micro that I developed to try and get through. This whole Undercity is a very interesting little routing puzzle.
Yeah, there's a lot you have to do. And micro kind of just refers to moving separate party
Trolling
members.
Karth and our main character at the same time. Yeah, we call it micro. It's moving multiple party members at once. Having party members with you is both good and bad. You can do multiple things if you have multiple party members, but also party members are really bad at following you in general. So you have to be a little bit aware of where your party members are and what they're doing at any given time.
Yeah, for the most part, with very few exceptions, we just try to be alone, and then when the game forces us to take a party member with us, we try to make the most of it. There is one section in this run where Indy's going to intentionally take a party member with him for some pretty interesting movement inside of a Sith base on Manan. But I think that's pretty much the only example.
The Sith Academy as well.
And the Academy, and I guess Upper Shadowlands, but that's pretty much it.
Cool, so we re-entered the sewers because we finished all the quests we needed to do that we don't want to backtrack for. And now it's time to move on with basically the main quest, which is infiltrating the Volker base to rescue Bastila. So that's what we're doing. We're in the other part of the sewers. We're about to come up on a Rancor.
The Rancor will not be pictured in this run.
Yeah, if everything goes perfectly, we actually won't see the Rancor because Indy's doing something called Upper Sewers GP Warp, which is a strategy that saves about 10 seconds over not having a party member with you. So what he's going to do is he's going to run up to this droid here and then use Karth to warp the main character to the nearest loading zone to him, which just so happens to be the loading zone to the Volker base. So now he's in this hallway next to these Volkers, and as the main character kills those Volkers, he's going to run Karth basically to the same point and then try to warp Karth to the main character's location. If everything goes perfectly, it saves about 10 seconds.
Yep, and we got our full up just in case the main character takes some of the damage from these guys. But our blade using is pretty good, or like dual wielding, so we make pretty good work of them usually. And we have like uncanny dodge. 1 and 2. Scout doing some work there.
Yeah. There's something pretty scary that can happen if the main character kills those Volkers really quickly, where he'll decide randomly to get targeted on that door to the sewers, where the Rancor's just beyond it, and then he'll just get eaten.
Okay, and we open that door to the Rancor lair because the door is actually the trigger for completing the quest, Rancor in the sewers. So, there was a quest attached to the Rancor. You don't need to kill it. You can just press the door. You can also just run around the Rancor. You can like juke it, which is a strat we do in Glitchless.
Yes, in classic game designer fashion, they decided not to track whether you actually killed the Rancor, but if you got past it, you must have killed it.
In Unrestricted, we literally are immortal, and we just run past it and let it attack us.
So here, Indy's doing something called turret skip. So these 3 turrets will instantly kill you if they get a shot off and it hits you. But by throwing 2 concussion grenades at the center one, we have about a 65% chance of stunning all 3, and we can just run past, which saves us from having to hack a computer or get a key card from an officer elsewhere in the base. That's actually kind of a difficult fight.
It saves a ton. Definitely a little bit of an RNG moment. But it's not too bad, 65%, yeah.
We ran Karth over to the office for the garage head to get some Pazak cards and computer spikes that we're going to need later on the planet, and then the main character's just going to pick up this swoop accelerator and now talk to this NPC who normally talks to you when you open that door and tries to entice you to betray Gadden. And we're going to accept that offer because it warps us outside, but we already have the swoop accelerator, so we don't actually have to betray Gadden. We can just go do what we said we were going to do.
Yeah, we stole it without them noticing, using the power of glitches.
Alright.
So on the way back...
Save teleporting.
Yeah. Okay, save teleporting. Basically, if you hold forward in this game with the mouse buttons, so if you press both your mouse buttons, it'll let you forward automatically, and then you quick save, the game propels your momentum forward using the quick save. And as memory builds up in this game, because this game has a memory leak problem where like it'll eventually crash. It like keeps storing memory as you make saves and stuff. But as you get a larger memory, basically the save teleports become even more powerful. So right now they're super minor, right? He's quick saving, but it is faster than running. Eventually, you'll do one quick save and you'll go across an entire module. So
yeah, we'll see that towards the end of the game.
Gadden can...
Yes? Cloning Gadden.
Sandra, but I've got good instincts, and you have the look of a racer.
Yeah.
It's awkward
Just
to
try to
clone him.
relax, and in the morning we'll
should've
take
done
you
it.
to the swoop track.
I feel bad now.
Did you buffer the gang war cutscene this time?
No, because the trigger doesn't appear
Okay.
in that part of the hallway. I need to buffer it when I'm leaving the Sith base and going to the Davix estate. Oh, swoop racing.
So yeah, we're at the swoop platforms. We agreed to do the race for the Bex. I don't know why they trust us that much, but we also just restarted the game for the first time. So as we talked about, there's a memory leak in this game, and before it just crashes and like makes you have to reload a save that you didn't want to, we purposely closed the game and restarted so that the game doesn't crash. So we're gonna do that about 10 times throughout the run. Luckily, restarting this game is really fast. It takes about 10 seconds total, I would say. Yeah. So restart the game, swoop races. We do both of them in this category. There is a way to glitch it so you only have to do one on Terrace, but it requires some shenanigans.
I hit that obstacle right at the end.
It's a good obstacle to hit though.
If you're gonna hit one, that's the one to hit.
Yeah. Swoop races, kind of just an auto scroller. You can be good at it, and you can save small amounts of time.
Oh, it's not an auto scroller. Like
It kind of is.
The time
You're
variant.
right, it's not.
Like a second.
Inherently, it's not, but it feels like one. the
This is
same
someone
tenths
who
of a
has
second.
not done swoop racing ILs.
Yeah, but literally the difference between top times and like the normal easy route is very.
Yeah, it's like half a second.
But there are people who grind the ILs.
2168 is an okay time.
Nice.
All right, Brejik skip.
Okay.
Yeah, so normally after the second swoop race, Brejik, the leader of the Black Volker gang that we've been fighting the entire time in the lower city, will try to betray you and withhold Bastila, who's the reward for winning. But if we buffer that cutscene and then just run over and talk to Bastila, we can get the conversation that normally plays after we fight Brejik. And she'll loot Brejik's non-existent corpse for her lightsaber and some other pretty powerful items, and we get warped back to the apartment.
How can I help?
So there's several quests which involve talking to your party members over and over to hear their backstory and trigger other quests. We are starting Bastila and Karths right there.
Now we're taking Bastila with us because she has a level up available, and she also has Burst of Speed, which is twice as fast. Well, the increase in speed that it gives you is twice as fast as using an Alacrity. So instead of using the main character with an Alacrity active, we're just going to use Bastila to move now whenever possible.
Yep. Force of speed.
Because it's
One
a
of the best-
40% increase instead
One of the best
running.
powers. I'm sure anyone who played this game casually,
All right,
a lot of them, almost everybody probably dabbled with Force of speed.
I'm gonna want a little bit of quiet while I'm doing damage stacking here, entering
Cool.
the
What can I do?
cantina. We're not quite there yet. We're gonna
So-
buy a concussion grenade and then do a
Hello.
GP warp.
Basically, damage stacking is the most technical
I'm here.
menu type glitch that no major glitches has. So
But it's still very new.
All right, here we go. Okay, that's first phase. Now second one is the hard one.
wow,
What can I do?
nice.
All right, we're
Very
done.
fast.
Yeah. So yeah, you can explain it.
I'll
if you want.
explain
I'm
it
here.
when we get to this cutscene here. That's
Okay.
unskippable.
They're about to
All right,
start,
so damage
quit
stacking
complaining and just
takes
watch
the
view screen.
item properties of a weapon and duplicates them to your basic attack. Like if you're punching someone, you have a certain base damage that you do. We take the item properties from our sword and apply them to our fist, basically, so that when we re-equip the sword, we have essentially duplicated the item properties of the weapon we're wielding. So I just did that 4 times, which adds 12 flat damage and a 40% chance to hit to my weapon here. And that basically takes this dual ring segment and changes it from an RNG fest to something that's actually pretty consistent.
And just to emphasize how
What can I
silly
do?
that glitch is and how broken this game is, nothing that Indy just did while doing the glitch is a glitch. Like, it's all, the game just does that if you swap between characters. Like, it allows you to swap between characters, it allows you to unequip and equip items. That's all that Indy was doing with the glitch, and for some reason it has the property of adding that damage.
The thing that messes up the game is switching menus while you're in an equipment menu. So like, if you're picking a sword to equip and you switch menus, that's what kind of confuses the game.
Just let you switch for some reason. I didn't know. Very weird.
Anyway, the whole reason that we did that is it makes this whole dueling section up to Bendak very consistent. We used to have a pretty strict XP route in this category to get to level 5 before we got to the duel ring, so that we could get improved 2-weapon fighting, so that we had a better chance to hit and could actually be somewhat consistent with these first 5 fights. But the damage stacking glitch just completely negates all of that requirement and basically guarantees a 7-round duel ring, which was really good before.
Nice.
So I missed Gurlon, who was the last dueler. The game treats you as automatically missing if you roll a 1. And that's what happened. You roll a 20-sided dice behind the scenes, basically, to decide if you hit or not, and I rolled a 1, so I missed. And it made me sad.
Yeah, it's not that likely. So we already killed Deadeye Duncan, the legend. That was our first fight. And then Gurlon Tweet Fingers. We lost 3 fingers. And then we fought Ice. Marl right here, he is a menace in certain categories.
Yeah, he'll stun you really quick if you don't.
But it looks like damage
Take care of
stacking
him.
is doing its job.
I've actually had an extra round on Gurlon and Ice compared to what I would normally get, so I've been kind of unlucky with my damage rolls, even with the damage stack.
So this is Twitch, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna defeat Twitch and do
Yeah, so Twitch isn't really a threat to kill you, but he has decent armor class or whatever, so it can be hard to hit sometimes.
Yes?
But once again, everything about our character is kind of like optimized to be able to hit as much as possible at this point.
The Twitch is also the final enemy in the first portion of the Duel Ring quest, and after we defeat him, this Mandalorian Bendak Starkiller decides that he wants to duel us, which is convenient because we have a bounty quest to kill Bendak. So 2 birds with 1 stone. We have to leave the area to reload it to set the state to activate Bendak's duel, and then we can just go talk to the hut again.
Yeah, leaving the module like that cancels the effects of the damage stacking glitch, so we're back to our just basic old weapons. But we're going to use a different tactic on Bendak here.
Yeah, it's usually pretty effective, and Indy's very good at it, so let's see how this goes.
I love bumping.
Actually do the level up.
Good first hit. Alright, so we're doing a strategy called bumping here, where basically if you keep the opponent at an awkward distance, they will be stuck trying to get at a distance where they can actually attack. And we can combine that with the timing on our attack rolls, because this game is actually, it's like secretly turn-based. So you have to time it. Otherwise you'll be waiting too long for your attack. Anyway, it went really great.
Yeah,
and the range is pretty specific, because if you're too close, Bendak will just pull out a melee weapon. If you're too far away, he'll just shoot you.
Yeah, and if he pulls out his melee weapons, the chance to hit him becomes much lower. So you want to prevent him from doing that if possible. And we did! Yay! Good Bendak fight. I guess some of the other fights weren't as good as Gurlon, but...
Yeah, I mean, I just got bad rolls on Ice and Gurlon, but everything else was pretty much as you would expect.
Are you gonna PB?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yes?
Especially not if Darkside End wins, but Darkside End is the one that we don't do usually. Lightside End is typically the one that's done because it's a little bit faster.
So we are like at the end portion of Terrace now. We're wrapping up. We're getting the last few quests, and there is one more big area we have to go to called the Sith Base, and that's kind of what we're prepping for right now.
Before we get there, though, we'll sell basically everything that we possibly can to Janice here. And the reason that we do this now is because when you sell items on Terrace, you get about 25% more credits than you would if you waited until Dantooine or a later planet. So we can maximize our credits in the early game by selling them all now.
Yes?
Very nice.
I think it's 25.
You get 40% item value for selling on Terrace and 25% elsewhere. So, an extra 50%.
And the droid will allow us to get into the Sith Base, and we can buffer the cutscene of the droid actually opening the door. By the way, the droid's name is T3.
T3 is the MVP of this run.
I love T3. He's a cute little guy.
We even have T3 strats on Manon now. He's actually useful.
Yes, and we use him on Tatooine, and technically we use him on Kashyyyk as well, but we could really use any party member on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, T3 is actually the MVP of a lot of the fights here. This is Sith base again. We have to fight this assault droid, this like really scary droid right now. In just a second.
So we
And
really
then we have to
want
fight that
to
way.
stun this guy. It's a 55% chance to stun with this concussion grenade that I have carefully saved. And we stunned T3.
Yes.
So that didn't work the way we wanted.
Yeah, this fight is kind of RNG. I don't know how to
It's
it's like this fight.
this fight to me is worse than the governor fight. I don't think I've ever stunned a droid first fight.
It can be.
It's not a very consistent fight. Governor, we have like pretty nice strats for now, and he doesn't have the crazy shield.
Who did?
This is the Sith Governor. He's more or less the boss of Terrace. And we're going to try and stun him with T3, and that's kind of the key to the fight. We really want to stun him, because it makes him much easier to hit.
Not get a stun. At least he took forever to come to you, so you got a bunch of attack rounds off.
So don't
Uh oh, now he's healing.
T3 is no longer trying to do
T3's bugging out.
Yeah, this is what can happen.
Okay.
We also have
we got the
Bastila
stun.
in the party. We also have Bastila in the party, and we used her to cast Stasis, which even if that fails, it lowers the governor's defense and makes him easier to hit. So it's nice to have Bastila with us. That fight looked like it was going to go south, but then you got a good opportunistic stun and worked out
You
fine.
looted the governor so fast.
It was a slow fight, but we didn't die, so that's good.
Yeah, it turned out to be okay.
I mean, T3 is almost falling apart, but otherwise we're good.
But yeah, you didn't die though. And you got the stun, so that, who knows how it could have gone. You killed T3 and didn't get stunned. Alright, so let's say a quick load here just to make the AI of the party members act better.
This is why I run while I'm looking at my party members, so I can make sure that they are following me. And
Yeah,
now
party
I'm gonna-
members following you is kind
Don't
of a
forget the
problem
buffer.
in
Yeah.
a lot of categories. Yeah, buffer. So there's a cutscene here that... Oh, I skipped over it. Again.
So one of the things about buffering is that the triggers for these cutscenes are often very, very thin. And so if you're buffering, you're essentially doing the same thing that you would do if you were safe teleporting.
I'm here.
And so sometimes you can just skip over the trigger completely rather than trigger it and delay it and then skip it. So if you skip over it completely, the trigger's still there. So if you go back the same way, then you need to be careful to skip it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we just turned in all of the bounty quests to Zax. So this is like the very end of Terrace. So we turned in all the bounty quests to Zax, and then we talked to Canarus, and he's going to take us to Davnik's estate, where we're going to steal a ship and escape Terrace. This cutscene's epic. We shall enjoy it.
Yeah, we also turned in the Rackle Serum to Zax. One thing that you might start to notice in terms of a trend with all these quests is that we're making a lot of dark side choices, which is weird, because we did just say that we'd go with the light side ending. General rules for all quests is we kind of just do whichever quest resolution is fastest, and there's basically no exceptions to that. Our alignment route, for the most part, the majority of the game will be low dark side, and then at the very end, the alignment just happens to work out that we get enough light side points at the very end to, in the ideal route, be just barely the light side enough to use one of the most broken lightsaber crystals in the game that is light side restricted. And then the light side ending is just faster.
Also, one of the quests, for whatever reason, doesn't actually complete if you do dark side end. We base completion based on the in-game journal, and Juhani's quest, for whatever reason, just doesn't complete. Okay. Almost off Terrace. I hope T3 doesn't get killed before he has.
But normally there's another pretty decent little cutscene here, and then you have to make your way through Savage Base to get to the Ebon Hawk. But by hard buffering that first cutscene, we can just skip it entirely, and then we're pretty close to a computer terminal that we can just hack to open the hangar. And then T3 will just run up to the Ebon Hawk and steal it. And then here is the first instance of what's called a map cutscene skip, where, so at the beginning of a cutscene, the in-game menu that you can see on your HUD is actually still there, even though it doesn't display. So if you position your mouse over a menu icon and then click it before a cutscene starts, you can pull up the menu and use functionalities like return to Ebon Hawk, which is what we just did, and the position of the Ebon Hawk is on Dantooine. So now we're on Dantooine.
Yep. Which means we're about to get a lightsaber. So if you want the lightsaber to be a particular color, be sure to
with me, Master
donate
Folk,
for that.
Master Vandar, and of course the chronicler of our academy, Master
It will be
Doran.
yellow for the first
Padawan
planet,
Bastila, I am
but I'll
sure
have a
you are
chance
already
to
familiar
change the
with.
color when we're leaving Dantooine here.
Oh, ooh, we just did drugs in bed. So basically, right before the sleepy time cutscene, there's a brief moment before the cutscene actually starts where you're in the module and you have control of your character. If we press the, I think the default's 5 or 6, if we press the like usable items hotkey, we'll actually apply a stimulant to ourselves before the cutscene triggers, and we can use that to duration glitch alacrity. And
So
you don't lose any time.
So Indy just bought a belt called the CNS Strength Enhancer, which is going to give us an increase to saving throws and bonus to our strength. And he's going to duplicate the Strength Enhancer because it's pretty expensive and we just spent a lot of money on it. So by queuing up stim items on Karth and Canderous and then pausing the game, going into the menu, and trying to equip the Strength Enhancer to them, he actually just duplicated it twice. So now he has 3, one of which is equipped to the main character, and 2 of which are in his inventory, and he'll be able to sell it later.
And now we're wearing the Sith armor for the rest of the run. So thank you. Thank you all for that. There's going to be some pretty hilarious cutscenes because we're wearing the Sith armor. Oh, I actually talked about it there. Montage skip. Someone want to talk about that?
Yeah, so normally there's a 45 to 50 second cutscene that plays, and it basically just shows your main character going through a training montage to become a Jedi. But if you, again, buffer to delay that cutscene from activating and then quick load the game, you can skip all of it, and it relocates your character to the next place he has to be for a cutscene and starts you on the path to becoming a Jedi, unlocking that class and getting your lightsaber, which is this conversation right here. So now we're a Jedi.
Yeah, so first we recited the Jedi code, and then we chose what class we want to be, basically.
And we've been banking skill points so that we could max out Persuade as soon as we became a Jedi. So Persuade stacks your Charisma bonus and your skill in the Persuade skill to determine whether or not you pass Persuade checks, and it basically balances the player level against the score that you get from adding all those modifiers. There are 3 kinds of Persuade options. There's easy, medium, and difficult. The difficult ones are the only ones that we're really concerned about because our Persuade bonus in this run is so high that we just automatically pass everything else. There are a few persuasion checks that we have to cast Force Valor to get a better chance of passing.
Yep, Force Valor, Force Speed, these are super useful Force abilities for basically every playthrough of this game. And we're out in a new area, a new planet. It's time to get more quests. We just told John we'd help avenge his hatred of the Mandalorians, because there's these Mandalorian raiders here that are terrorizing the yokels. So.
And now that we're a Jedi, we have another method available to us to skip cutscenes. We're still going to quick save buffer into cutscene triggers, but instead of loading the game from the menu, a lot of the time what we'll be able to do is just, if you cast a Force ability and then really quickly press the same button again, so you're double pressing it, it'll overwrite the cutscene being played with the Force ability being used.
So, right, wants to get a new area, we're gonna
we finished that quest by having him telling him we don't want to help, and that counts as completion because it's completed in the journal. Triple missed a cat hound. Wow.
We're taking a quick detour.
Yeah, this is something that would not be in a typical run. We're going to grab a couple of lightsaber color crystals so that we have a wider variety of colors to change our lightsaber into. We're going to pick up here blue, green, and red. We have yellow already, as you can see. The violet crystal is not actually available until Tatooine. So if violet is the leading color after this planet, we will do the second highest color and do violet after Tatooine. Tatooine's the first place we go after this, so it's a small difference.
I guess we didn't talk about, so when we became a Jedi, there were 3 Jedi classes that were available to us. We chose Jedi Guardian just because it's the best overall in combat, and it also has the ability to force leap to enemies.
Very, very
With... Oh, that was interesting.
Hold on.
We'll see what happens.
We're supposed to tell that droid to go back to his master, and we just destroyed him instead. The reason we normally tell him to go back to his master is because then we can finish the quest more quickly by just talking to that master. But now when we talk to that master, she's going to get upset, and we're going to have to go find her and talk to her again.
Yeah, and so by force buffering into the Juhani trigger that normally starts the fight with her, and then using the force to cancel the cutscene, we were able to talk to Juhani and resolve her little subplot without actually fighting her.
You have done well.
That's actually a good illustration of how some of these conversations are fairly precise. So we do conversations by mashing numbers to correspond to the dialogue options. And so I did one extra 1 option, which is like, okay, I will destroy you. Whereas I was supposed to press 2, which is, no, you should go back to your master. And so just pressing 1 instead of 2 means I have to figure out how to turn this quest down.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, a huge part of all quests is memorization, and then like implementing that to
like
the conversations fast.
It's like any RPG run, though. Really, you know, you have a very specific route to do specific things at specific times.
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogues in this game. I guess like any RPG.
So the one option is like the droid wants you to destroy him, so you destroy. I think you can tell Elise that you destroyed the droid, and she doesn't run off.
What can I do?
So that shouldn't affect your alignment.
Yeah? Sure. What can I do?
Oh no, wait, that puts her in the enclave. You don't want to do that.
Well, it's okay, I think.
Yes?
We're doing some more micro movement here. We gotta go basically 3 different ways at once.
Huh?
Use our 3 different party members to go those 3 different ways.
Yeah, so there's a terminal on each side of the ruins that we have to interact with and press specific buttons. Nice buffer.
Yeah,
and that unlocks this other door, which opens the way to the star map to us. And you saw Indy do a couple quick save buffers there, followed by a force buffer. It just skips about a 5 or 7 second cutscene when that door opens.
Hey there.
And now we're going to talk to Mission and Bastila to progress their party member quests. We need Mission's party member quest to be at a certain point pretty quickly here, as soon as we go back to the Ebon Hawk, so that her Mission's brother quest can trigger. And then Bastila, we need to progress her quest to a certain point so that we can trigger the Bastila's mother quest when we go to Tatooine, which is the next planet.
Definitely an aspect to this run where you have to do all your party members' quests, so you're just kind of like always checking in on them, and you get to remember a bunch more dialogues. But we do we skip as much as possible.
It used to be a lot more tedious. Indy's done a lot of work figuring out exactly when he has to talk to certain party members. Like, I think we only talked to Juhani once now, but we talked to her 5 times.
Yeah, that's super
in a
nice.
row. So yeah, that's really
technically,
nice.
you gotta talk to her to start the quest. But then so you have to do 7 conversations with Juhani, and we do 5 of them
you
in
have
one
returned, young Padawan.
in one go.
Have you discovered what it was that Revenant returned to your ship with Bastila?
Actually,
and
part
we
of
will
that
summon you.
optimization is Juhani has actually like
Padawan,
13 different
you have done
conversations
well
you
in
can do,
discovering the stop
but they're divided into like her personal history and then more personal conversations. So we only have to do the history ones rather than the personal one.
If I remember right, there's actually a
What color
bug.
do I make my lightsaber now?
Right, we need a lightsaber color.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Blue is in the lead right now, but it is in the lead by only $5. So, yeah, start with blue, and y'all, if you want to see anything else, make sure you get those donations in. It's like I said, it's only in the lead by $5.
All right, thank you. We'll do
How can I help?
blue. We're gonna be on the Ebon Hawk again real soon here, so we'll make it blue.
Yes, what's it?
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, Juhani's personal storylines, like those 5 conversations, are actually bugged to where if you progress them to a certain point without having triggered one of Juhani's like tack-on quests, the quest just won't trigger, and you can't get Threat from Zor anymore.
I think it's Threat from Zor.
I feel like
If you get that too early, can break the other companion quests. That's the glitch I know of. Also, if you do too many history
help?
conversations with Juhani, you can't do her personal conversations.
Yes, what's it?
All right, so we have a
That's
blue
fair.
lightsaber, and we're gonna go to Tatooine. We're gonna
Sweet.
break that along.
Welcome to.
Yeah, see, what you'll notice is we try to do map cutscene skips a lot of the time when we travel between planets, and this skips a few things. It can skip the cutscenes where the star map nightmare dream sequence
I'm here.
plays, and then when we go to certain planets, there's a sequence where it plays cutscenes of Malik on the bridge of the Leviathan, and you get exposition and plot, which we don't really care about in speedrunning, so we skip whenever we can.
There's the 2 dupes. in
Don't
history.
sell your crystals.
I remembered not to sell my crystals. Alright, and then string and the fodder. Alright. That's the last complicated
can I
shopping
do?
trip we do. We will buy some more stims on Korriban, but that's a very straightforward shop. You just buy them.
Can I help
Yeah,
you?
so this is a good opportunity to talk about why we do certain planets in the order that we do them. We go to Tatooine first for a few reasons. So after Dantooine, the game opens up completely, and you're able to go to basically any planet you want to in any order, which casually is great, but from a speedrun routing perspective is kind of difficult. We don't want to go to Manan first because we would get the Genoharadan, where we can't get the Genoharadan quest until we have at least 2 star maps, including the one on Dantooine. So if we went to Manan first, it would almost be a waste, and we'd have to go back an extra time. We don't want to do Kashyyyk first because there's a Genoharadan bounty target there, so we would have to go back again. We don't want to do Korriban first because we would have to go back again to do the Dustalo Nasi and Premium Merchant quests. So doing Tatooine first lets us get access to a pretty fast star map. We do some other quests on the way, and it just so happens to work out that we can do the Bastila's Mother quest at the same time, which the objective for it is right next to the star map, so it's just convenient.
That's also why we talk to Basilis so much on Dantooine. We need to progress her quest far enough that we can trigger her mother's quest when we first get to Tatooine. So Tatooine swoops, you have to do it 3 times. You have to beat an increasingly more difficult target time each time. All of my times so far have been at least 0.8 of a second faster than the target times. So basically, unless you hit something, if you take the right line, you'll be fine.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah,
if you're shifting correctly, you pretty much have to hit an obstacle to not hit the target time.
That last one
and
was
when we get out into the Dune Sea, you're gonna see how strong save teleports are.
no,
You
not
know, they're
this
not that
one.
crazy yet.
Oh, hi.
We're not gonna save teleport in the Dune Sea here.
Oh, really?
When we come back to Tatooine.
I see.
Yeah.
Tatooine.
Any percent NMG starts using save teleports in the Dune Sea because it does Tatooine second, but
I
our
forgot
save
that
teleports aren't quite strong enough.
I forgot the memory got reset. Yeah. After Terrace, your memory gets reset, and you have to build save teleports up again.
Yeah. By the time we get to Eastern Dune Sea, teleports are fairly competitive with using force speed, so it kind of just depends on whether or not you already have force speed active, whether or not you want to try to do teleports.
Yeah, one thing is that having a speed bonus active makes your save teleports worse. Which, when they're stupid strong, that actually comes in handy.
No one.
Yeah, it lets you
Because they're-
control it.
Yeah, they're way harder to control.
Yes.
But for now, you don't want that.
Okay, so there's some neat strats coming up here in the Dune Sea. We're bringing Basila and P3 with us for a fight in the Eastern Dune Sea to get the star map. But we're also going to use them to do some neat tricks here.
What can I do?
Yes.
Hey there.
We talked to Tanis here for a quest. Unfortunately for him, the fastest way to complete that quest is to blow him up. So, bye Tanis. And now we're going to use a GP warp to warp our character to the other side of the Dune Sea.
I'm here.
And then that little trigger warps our party members to the exit we want to be at. And then we're going to
Don't let me, please.
another quest here where we get ambushed by some Gamorreans, but then convince them they don't want to mess with us.
2 quests very easily completed.
Yep, those are pretty straightforward. And now we're gonna skip over a trigger that is meant to prevent us from entering the Eastern Dune Sea, and enter the loading zone from behind. To basically, we're not going to skip the Sand People because we have to do some quests related to them, but we get to delay them to the second trip to Tatooine, and it's more efficient that way. And then we're going to do some with tech here, with the Dewback over here. Dewback's walking away from me.
Yeah. And coming up right here is probably the most cold-hearted thing that we do in the entire run in terms of light side, dark side alignment. So Comad Fortuna is this hunter that we're going to talk to in the Eastern Dune Sea that's here to kill a Krayt dragon. He has this ingenious plan to lure the dragon out of the cave and then kill it. And he tells us this plan, and we say, thanks, I don't really need you anymore. And then we just murder him. We do this because this lets us get 2 Krayt dragon pearls. One we're going to put in our lightsaber, and one we need for a quest for the Sand People later. And it also skips having to talk to him when we bring these banthas back to the mouth of the cave, which saves a few seconds.
So this is the most complicated fight strat outside of Terrace. Pause at the beginning to set it up. We're using Basila to stun some of the elite warriors here. And then we're going to use T3 to take out the one on the right. And our friends here will take out the ones on the left. Come on, blue lightsaber man. There we go. And as soon as they're all dead, we talk to the Bantha Basila to finish the Krayt dragon. I like that strat because A, it uses T3, who's awesome, and B, it makes it much more consistent because we used to do that fight with just our main character and no party members, and there were just lots of, we're not quite powerful enough to be really consistent with hitting enemies because there's a difficulty spike once you get onto these mid-game planets. So there was a lot of missing that would happen. And it's using Basila's stun, as mentioned before, lowers their defense. So you have a much better chance of hitting them than we used to.
Yeah, without the XP that you... Sorry.
Now we have the Violet Crystal, so we have all 5 colors for the Bid War available to us.
Yeah, without the XP that you get from doing another planet first, that Sand People Elite Warrior fight is actually pretty scary. If you don't have any party members with you, they won't kill you very frequently, but it just takes forever. It can easily kill a pretty good run.
All right, so Hello Nord wants to fight us. He and his crew are waiting in their speeders there, but we have the pathway to many abilities that some consider to be unnatural. So we just skip it. The Crate Dragon's gone. Notice that Hello Nord is standing in his speeder. They didn't want to put like a sitting position for him, so he's just standing in his speeder, and he will be standing in the Dune Sea for the rest of the run.
There is a cutscene that plays where Saul Kareth goes and tells Malik that Calo Nord is dead. I'm not sure where he's getting this information. But we're running over here because we can't return to the Ebonhawk from the Eastern Dune Sea. The ability is disabled. But if we run into Sand People territory, we can. And running to Sand People territory as opposed to back to the Dune Sea opens up another module to us, which will just make our save teleports a little bit better, a little bit faster. So the power of your save teleports is largely based on how many modules are loaded in memory, which is just how many modules you've entered. So by entering certain modules earlier, especially larger modules, you can increase the power of your save teleports.
Alright, I need lightsaber color again, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Blue is still in the lead. And folks,
We'll stay blue then.
if I have a moment to just make another announcement, I just wanted to remind everyone that while the lightsaber color incentive is still outstanding, there's also the incentive to select the light side ending versus the dark side ending. Like we were just discussing the differences in them earlier. Light side is in the lead with only $10, so if you wanted to switch it up and slightly inconvenience the run, get those donations in too.
Dark side is actually not that big an inconvenience. It's different, so I would be excited to do it, but I would also be excited to do light side in. Alright, we gotta talk to Karth a few more times to progress his quest to the place we need to be. We can actually quick save and quick load in between conversations with Karth, and it progresses his quest. So kind of a more efficient way of doing it, I guess. Alright.
Yeah, so
we are at Manon.
Yeah, so we go to Manon next. It's one of the places where we can get Karth's secondary party member quest to go rescue his son from Korriban, where he is not being held captive against his will, which is this cutscene right here. And it's also where we need to pick up the Genoheridan Intergalactic bounty hunting quest, so it makes the most sense to come to Manon right now. And while we're here, we're going to be picking up some other side quests just that make routing the second trip to Manon a little bit more efficient, and we'll be doing some swoop racing at the end of the planet, after which we won't need to worry about credits for the rest of the run.
We ended up with 36 credits of leeway. Manon is also where we start save teleporting. It's now significantly faster than running with force speed. So we're going to be doing this until almost the end of the run. The game will clear data one more time before we go to the Star Forge, so we will not be using save teleporting at the very end. And now we're going to do another memory reset here, so that we don't crash at a bad time.
Yeah, the memory resetting is something that's fairly unique to this category. Other categories do it, but not to the same degree. So the memory leak in KOTOR is tied to the quick save functionality. So by spamming quick save so much to buffer cutscenes and to save teleport, NMG has a tendency to build up that memory leak faster than other categories do. So as a result, we do way more memory resets than other categories would.
This category in particular has the most because it's longer than All Quests Unrestricted. Unrestricted also has several memory resets, but it's a shorter run, so you don't have to do as many. It's also important to do your memory resets from either a quick save or a hard save, because if you do them from an autosave, that actually disables your duration glitch.
Yeah, it's inconvenient in the event that you do get a memory crash, because very frequently the autosave will be the most recent save that you have to load in to save or lose the least amount of time due to a crash.
How many resets does All Quest Glitchless do?
All Quest
One.
One
Oh, no.
reset.
Yeah, one.
Sure.
It's
Welcome to Manon.
been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, All Quest Glitchless gets sound glitch,
Sure.
I think on Manon 1, and resets right after that. And then if you're fast, you shouldn't have to do it.
So Lorgal here is the first Gina Haraden target. There are 6 quests tied to the Gina Haraden, which is the secret Assassin's Guild. So we use T3 to reprogram the cage to kill Lorgal, and that opens up the rest of the side quests. We use T3 instead of just doing it ourselves because it saves on computer spikes. T3 is much better at computers than we are because, well, he's a droid.
Yeah, that's one of the strats that Indy came up with when he was really optimizing this category that was not in the original incarnation of the route. But there's traces of the ton of work that Indy's done optimizing this category pretty much everywhere.
We have one more set of swoops to do.
There's traces of Indy in every category.
That is true.
More than traces, often.
That just means I'm old.
Yeah, usually when we have a wiki website where we host all of our speedrun guides, and usually if you look at the author's name,
Oh yeah. And he's been running this game for how long?
8.5 years.
Nice.
With some breaks.
Yeah. He's consistent. He uses his brain and his brawn. Indy's the GOAT.
It's not bad, Manon time.
Even with 2 kids.
I hope you cannot hear one of my kids who is screaming his head off right now.
I cannot, actually, so should be fine. Hope they feel better soon.
So you notice my character is walking very slowly. The cutscenes in between the swoop races are gated on your character reaching certain points. And so those cutscenes are faster if you have more speed on. I tried to cast it before I did the first one, but apparently I was too fast. So I backed out of the conversation to recast it, and now the next time it should be faster. I messed up my boosts.
So yeah, this is the last swoop races that we'll be doing in this run. We did Tatooine and Terrace already. There's no more. No more races. Are there any more minigames?
There's one more.
Oh really? Oh, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
there's the last one here. Yeah.
I meant like planets.
No.
Oops.
We have Zok.
Yeah, we have Bazak.
We do have Bazak.
Bazak is Space Blackjack, and we have to win a game, and it is RNG. But we buy cards in this route to make it as easy as possible. If you do it with the very default cards, it's pretty rough.
So we say it's RNG. I'm still very convinced that the game actually cheats.
The game is convinced that we cheat on Terrace.
Alright, so we're now done with our first trip to Manon, so we need another lightsaber color. We basically only do setup on Manon because it's more beneficial to delay the Manon star map until after we've been to Kashyyyk and recruited Jolie. So do we have a lightsaber color? Are we still blue?
Yeah, we are still chilling with blue. It's kind of like matching the crown here, the marathon, so yeah, it's good.
I should not have cast force speed. Oh well. So there are multiple points where we have to revisit planets, and anytime you revisit a planet, you have a chance of triggering this fighter skirmish. There's 4 possibilities where you might get a fighter skirmish, and then there's one where you're guaranteed to get a fighter skirmish. So I decided that I will donate $10 for each fighter skirmish I do. So that's up to 50. I just wanted to say that so you all can hold me to it. Alright, so this is where I'm gonna be kind of winging it after the mistake I made with the droid. Okay, he's upset. That is a very slow walking away. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so normally the quest just ends right there, so we're kind of in uncharted territory as far as routing goes. But you should just go talk to her in the enclave, and it'll be fine.
I know where she is because I've also done bingo for this game, and doing the completion of the quest that I'm ending up doing right now is actually one of the bingo tasks. So I've done this before, but it's been a while.
Yep, so there's a few quests that we have to finish up on Dantooine, one of which is to kill the Mandalorians, and here there's a quest called Family Matters, where we resolve this blood feud between 2 of the settler families on Dantooine. Indy, I think you came up with this strategy, didn't you, where you buffer the first conversation with
we have nothing further
Sandral.
to discuss.
Yeah,
Please,
so normally when you talk to
my
Nurek here, his daughter Rahasia comes in and talks to you afterwards. But by skipping the cutscene initially and then talking to him, it breaks the part where his daughter comes and talks to you.
What? Who are you?
And instead, you can go in the front door, because if Rahasia talks to you, she goes back inside and locks the front door, but she gave you a key card to the side door. You have to go outside, run around, and open the side door, and it's just extra running, which is unnecessary. P3 is there just for some slick microing to open the door at the same time you're talking to Shen to release him from his cage. There are multiple outcomes to this quest. You can either reconcile the families and have them all get along, or you can goad them into destroying each other and have everyone end up dead on the ground. It is faster to reconcile them. So that's what we do.
The reconciliation is actually one of those difficult persuade checks that we only have about a 75% chance of passing. But if we cast Force Valor before we enter that conversation, we are guaranteed to reconcile if we make the correct dialogue choices.
Okay, so for these Mandalorian raiders, there's several groups, but we only have to kill 1 Mandalorian from each group for the game to think that we have killed them all. So in that group, it's the middle Mandalorian. We just leveled to 9 for Night Speed. Night Speed is very important because it adds a attack to every attack round we have. Excuse me. So we have now 4 attacks per round.
So killing that Mandalorian and then reloading the area spawns Sheriff. It also spawns a bunch of extra enemies, and all of the other enemies from the first party are still there, so you take an absolute ton of damage during that fight. It's very easy to die, but looks like we got away with it and finished the Mandalorian quest.
It's a pretty consistent 2-round fight with Sheriff, which means, generally speaking, you only have to use 1 med pack as you're leaving. If for whatever reason, if you miss too much or get unlucky with damage rolls and it's a 3-round fight, that's when it starts getting kind of scary as to whether you're going to survive or not. Here's our next Gene Rodden target. This is the reason we have to do 2 visits to Dantooine instead of 1, because this guy's only here after we talk to Ulas on Manon. You can technically skip this bounty, but that would mean doing Manon's Star Map last. And for whatever reason, if you get Manon's Star Map last, the cutscene afterwards is 40 seconds longer.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Does anything happen in it? Like or is it just more
literally
of the star map?
plays. It literally just plays more of the star map.
That's so weird.
Crossing lines in space and showing you where the Starforge is.
Yeah,
There's no.
That's crazy.
Oh, I gotta go talk to Elise here. The last star map you get has a longer animation where it sort of reveals the path to the okay, that took care of Elise, so we've successfully winged it. It shows the path to the Starforge, and that's why it's a longer animation. But every other map except for Manon lets you move before the animation completes. It's only on Manon that you have to wait for the entire animation. All right, are we still blue for our lightsaber color here?
Let me double check. Yes, that we are.
All right.
How's your memory looking?
Memory is okay right now. Where are we going? Going to Kashyyyk? Probably?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so we go to Kashyyyk now because we can do the entire planet in one trip now because we have the Genoharadan target, and there's no real good reason to do any of the other planets right now. This middle section between Manon 1 and Manon 2 is actually kind of negotiable. You could technically do them in any order. Kashyyyk has a lot of pretty scary combat, though, that it's useful to have a few level ups for. So doing the other planets first makes us a little bit better in the combat that we have to engage with on Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk's one of the cooler sections of this run in particular. NMG rule set lets us do a lot of sequence breaks that create pretty interesting results, such as this one, where normally we wouldn't be able to get to the Shadowlands elevator without going to the Wookiee village. But by doing a save teleport past the Wookiee guard that kicks us away from the elevator, we can just go to the elevator. So we haven't been to the Wookiee village yet, and this is going to be important later at the end of the planet.
The Kashyyyk route is pretty cool. I didn't really make a lot of changes to Binks' initial route, except to reorganize the lower Shadowlands a little bit.
Yeah, because Kashyyyk, if you don't do it in this kind of way, it can be pretty tedious with the amount of backtracking. Like if you're just playing this game casually.
We're doing a memory reset again.
Yeah, normally casually, Kashyyyk has a lot of back and forth between the Wookiee village and the Starport and the Shadowlands.
Sure.
But we've organized it in a way that cuts a lot of that out and makes it pretty fast and very cool.
We have to loot this Wookiee to start yet another murder mystery side quest. But we actually don't really do it because instead we get ourselves kicked out of the Wookiee village. Oops, that was wrong.
You want any?
And when we get kicked out of the Wookiee village, it automatically completes that quest for us.
You want anything?
Yeah, so here we have to disable these emitters to make these Zerka guards run away, which is required to get Jolie to join our party. And we also want to loot a tack gland while we're here for another quest later on.
Is this the last party member that we get?
We haven't got HK yet.
Okay,
But we are getting HK. Don't worry. If you like HK, you will see HK.
Yeah, if you like HK, all quests is 100% for you because getting HK is required to do all quests. And we don't get them in any other category.
Alright, this is the hardest speedrun quest, and it's not all that hard, but this guy's a shapeshifter. And he turns into a Tyrantotech, which is the hard part.
And now, when you kill the Tyrantotech, he turns into a tack, but Indy has a really cool strategy to avoid what the game wants you to do, which is to chase after him and find which tack he is in a group of tacks. So by quick saving, quick loading, right after he makes the transformation, the tack that he transformed into stays in place, so he can run Jolie to the other side of the Shadowlands where he needs to be to transition to the next loading zone, while the main character just kills the tack. it's very convenient because trying to hunt down that tack in the other group is very tedious. There's some other enemies that we have to kill. It can take forever.
Yeah, I can't find the tack that I killed earlier. We're just gonna kill this. We need to loot a talk land for Mission's Brothers quest. And I thought I had killed a talk earlier with my main character, but I couldn't find it, so I killed a different. Alright, so we took out Rulon, and now we're headed to the lower Shadowlands. We actually unequip our lightsaber here because we need to trigger some Mandalorian ambushes. And they only trigger if you actually want to for that second Mandalorian ambush until we're ready for it. We come over here and get the star map first.
Yeah, so I think we cut out a little bit there, but basically we've saved teleported all the way to the other end of the Shadowlands, and we're getting the star map, and we'll do Mandalorians and the Chieftain in Need quest where we have to go talk to the outcast Wookiee on the way back.
Alright, so if we did everything right, this is the second Mandalorian ambush because we buffered the first one. And this is where we get to put our lightsaber back on. Keep Jolie healthy here. Right.
Sure.
Hit level 10, we're going to end up being level 15 at the end of the run, which is good because that's the level you can get master speed at.
Yes.
And master speed adds yet another attack to each combat round, so we'll be doing 5 attacks by the time we reach the end. Julie got instantly stunned.
Sure.
So basically, for the lower Shadowlands here, we let our main character do the fighting and run with Jolie to the next fight that we have to trigger after that.
Yeah, there's a lot of running, and the layout of the Shadowlands is very twisty, turny. It's hard to harder to use save teleports well. It's definitely a challenge.
Sure. And it's important to sequence the lower Shadowlands the way that we the lower Shadowlands the way that we do, because this conversation with Freyr, when you get into about 30% HP, regardless of your choice in this conversation, it strips you of your buffs. So all of our stims get taken away by that conversation. So by delaying it until later, we're able to do the entirety of lower Shadowlands with hyper adrenal stims, which makes the combat a lot easier.
And I got a kind of a swag strat on the way out there. We use a GP warp to warp our character to the exit. But it's very... You'll notice my save teleports are really strong now, so it's actually pretty hard to hit the loading zone triggers. So I was able to do it from a great distance by save teleporting at the right spot. So I was happy. Probably no one else noticed, but I was happy.
So this here, in my opinion, this is the coolest sequence in the entire run. So we haven't been to the Wookiee village before this. So since we killed Freyr in the lower Shadowlands, Gorwookin, the Wookiee at the elevator, will take us straight to Chundar because we killed Freyr. But because this is the first time we've talked to Chundar, he tells us to go kill Freyr, and he kidnaps Zalbar and then kicks us out of his house. So by exiting the village here, we can talk to this Wookiee guard who's scripted to take us to Chundar the first time we talk to him, for the first conversation that we just did. So now we're warped back to Chundar. And because we killed Freyr, Chundar says, hey, thanks. And that resolves that quest. And then by doing this quick return to Ebonhawk, before the game would normally kick us out of the village, we're back in the spaceport and we don't have to run on the Great Walkway back to the ship. And there's one little quest for us to turn in here. And we will, after this transit back, and then immediately return to Ebonhawk, and we're right by the ship and can leave the planet. And we are completely done with Kashyyyk now.
Are we still blue? Yeah. My favorite color?
That we are.
Alrighty.
Lightsaber.
This is another place where we can get fighter skirmish, but looks like we didn't.
We're not there yet.
It's really nice, like how far the Kashyyyk routes have come, like every category.
Okay. This is where we get a random fighter skirmish.
Old All Quest in Kashyyyk did not know what it was doing.
No skirmish there. Ed Bastelin talks to us about the star map we already got.
Yay, no skirmish.
Alright, so we're going to finish up a bunch of stuff on Tatooine here. In particular, this is where we're going to play our Pazak game.
Uh-oh.
Everyone's favorite.
Pazak is fun, but in a speedrun it can be kind of brutal. One time I was doing an all-quest race versus IndyKenobi and Sanjan, and it took me 15 minutes to do Pazak.
Oh, no.
I probably made mistakes, but also, like, it was super unlucky.
It will not take me 15 minutes.
Not with these cards.
You say that.
We were doing early terrace with no cards. That was brutal.
That's a bad idea.
It was your idea. You told me it was faster.
I know. It was.
You led me to the dark side.
Now it's not faster.
You made me lose my sanity.
So we'll just buy a few Pazak cards from this bartender that makes the upcoming Pazak match as easy as it possibly can be.
Alright. Well, everyone, send your good vibes and good luck.
You need to hit 20, and you have the modifier cards on the bottom left that we can use. So, yeah, we can use a +3 or +2. I mean, whoops.
I actually would like to have some higher cards in my side deck. Having 3 as my highest card is really... I feel good about it.
Well, as long as you don't get unlucky. There we go.
Nat 20.
We got a
you got a lot of options now. If you win this round, you're... Ooh.
Yeah.
Alright.
You can use
neutral.
Yeah.
Back to neutral. Oh my god!
That is 1 in 100 chance of that right there.
Oh, let's go! Easy dub. Okay. Alright, so yeah. We want 16, 17, 18. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 16, 17, 18. Yes!
That's about as good as Pazak can ever go. That's a 4-round Pazak. It's basically perfect.
That was definitely good.
I'm gonna do a memory reset while I'm here, just to be safe.
Woo!
We did it! We did it!
Yay.
So the only other things we have to do on this planet are there's a Genoheridan quest in the Sand People territory that we have to do, and then we have to resolve all of the Sand People quests, which requires buying HK-47. Luckily, because we're rich, we are, after all, the Tatooine and Manon swoop champions. We can just buy HK without haggling for the price at all.
Yeah, we used to threaten him to get the cheapest price, but now we just like, we're rolling in credits.
The Sand People also have hostages. These Jawas and then Mission's brother are captives in their village, so we have to talk to the Jawas and they'll ask us to free their friends.
You can see how quick it is. Oh, I knew I was gonna mess that up. That's fine.
Yeah, so this is really displays the power of save teleports, where just a couple quick saves will teleport us all the way across this massive module. It's, I think, the largest one in the game. And it takes very little time to get across.
Costume?
Yes, we need this full outfit in order to get into Enclave and do the suits for the quest that we need to do there. First, we're going to do the Gina Rod target, if I can find the guy. There he is. So a fun fact about this, at the beginning of this cutscene, the game says that you killed Morn, this target, even though you haven't actually killed him yet. So we're going to hack the droid and find him, and then just leave. Just run away. Alright, so that is the last Gina Harad target, I believe. Oh wait, no. There's one more on Manon. Alright, this is what we need HK for. For whatever reason, the Sand People are still hostile, even though we're disguised. I think it has to do with not killing Born. So we have to do kind of a quick turnaround, and then we have to try and do it again because it didn't work the first time. There we go. I do not really understand that particular part here, but
that's a fairly recent thing that we started seeing. I agree with you that it's probably tied to Vorn, because I think that's the only thing we've changed.
so we have Alacrity on right now, which means our save teleports are a little weaker because they're stronger when you don't have speed enhancements active. But we've been playing the game long enough and we have enough modules in our save game that we still get a lot of distance out of it. We bring Mission along to talk to her brother, saves a conversation in the docking bay when we go back. And this is what we need the second Great Dragon Pearl for. This is why we killed Combat.
This whole section moves very quickly as a result of using the Return to Ebonhawk functionality to cut out a lot of traveling that in a casual playthrough you wouldn't normally think of. So this whole Tatooine 2 trip just flies by. Blink and you miss it.
Means we're gonna need another lightsaber color check here soon.
Okie dokie. I actually have an amazing update. With a $10 donation from Yami Florence, who says, let's make that lightsaber purple. So in that case, we should switch to violet when the time is right.
Alright, we will do that. Just gotta turn in a couple quests, and then we will have a purple lightsaber. And may I commend you on your taste, the purple lightsabers are clearly the best.
Greetings.
Alright, we're finishing up.
He gets the purple lightsaber in all of his runs.
Yeah, I do that too.
What?
It's right next to the Tatooine star map. It doesn't even take more than a second to grab it.
That's second saved.
Yeah, I lose 3 seconds on all of my runs because I like purple lightsabers.
I think that's pretty respectable.
Actually, for glitchless runs, I also, I also equipped Juhani's robe, which is like an orangey red, which wastes another like 3 seconds. But, you know, you gotta look good. Okay, purple lightsaber. Go. Wonderful. Alright, so now we're going to visit Manon again. And this is our last trip to Manon, and we got a random skirmish. The pattern of fighters in the skirmish is the same every time, so just need to practice that pattern, and it's reasonably quick. Alright, we're going to bring Zalbar with us, because we're going to use him for some movement in the Sith base, which is where we're headed next. We use Zalbar here because we really don't need him for anything other than being kind of beefy. He needs to be able to tank some damage, so... that
yeah,
is the last target.
You just want a character with a lot of health or the ability to regen. So Canderous was another option that I remember Indy considering when he came up with this idea, but Zalbar just works out to be better for the most part.
And
Scanderous has a...
doesn't get much love during this run, so I think it's nice to bring him out to play, at least.
Yeah. Canderous has pretty high constitution and a passive trait that regens health, which is why he was considered. So there's two things to do here in the Sith base. We have to go find some Selkath youths who are being brainwashed by the Sith, and we also have to recover a Republic droid that was recovered from the water by the Sith before the Republic could get to it. These are unfortunately in completely opposite sides of the base, otherwise we would just come in, grab both, and leave without meeting a party member. But this micro movement that Indy's doing to run Zalbar near the entrance will put him in a position that's very convenient for us while the main character goes back to try to reach the young minds of the Selkath and convince them that the Sith are evil.
And by reach the young minds of the Selkath, we mean indiscriminately attack them.
Oh, okay, that's new. We used to mind trick the Selkath into leaving the Sith, but that's different.
It's like 3 seconds slower to do that. So I disabled something called vsync for this buffer. Our saves are so long now that it's actually kind of difficult to buffer cutscenes now. So disabling vsync basically uncaps the frame rate of the game, which allows our saves to happen much more quickly. And so I'm going to use that a little bit for the rest of the run in some key places when I really need to buffer a cutscene. In unrestricted runs, it's used frequently to do a glitch called a displaced load zone, which lets you trigger a load zone from a far distance away, and enabling vsync makes those, I'm going to say easier, but it's actually just almost impossible to do most of them without it. But you hopefully will not see that in this run, because that's considered a major glitch. And this is no major glitch.
So,
not
yeah,
some major glitches, no.
The displaced loading zone glitch is something that can happen unintentionally, and it has the unfortunate result of invalidating no major glitches and glitchless runs if it happens and you didn't intend it. It's not something that you can always control, but then in unrestricted runs, when you intentionally try to do one, it frequently takes forever. So after the Sith base there, we got arrested, which put us in the Auto West module, which is convenient to start the Sunry murder trial quest. And then we go back to Hulas, who gave us the Genoharadan quest. We've actually killed all the Genoharadan targets, so we can talk to Hulas and realize that he's actually played us for a fool and used us to eliminate all of his peers in the Genoharadan leadership. There is an option to get angry at Hulas for this, and that results in a face-off on Tatooine where you have to go kill him. But if you just let him get away with it, the quest ends right here, and we don't have to go back to Tatooine a third time. So we do that.
Sure.
That is something that Binks found when he was initially routing it, and it was a super big find because it saved us an entire trip to Tatooine.
And then turning in the Genoharadan quests also gives us the Genoharadan Power Gauntlets, which gives us a +4 bonus to our strength, which is very nice.
Yes?
We're investigating Sunry's murder here, and we have to talk to these people in the hotel. Every witness has a quest associated to them, so we have to talk to all the witnesses before we actually start the trial.
And T3 was wisely positioned in the Republic base right next to the submersible so that as soon as the main character was done talking to the witnesses, he could just activate the submersible with T3. It skips some movement and also a very short conversation in the hallway between the hotel and the Republic base.
So we are now in pursuit of the star map on Manon, which will be our second to last star map. We haven't visited Korriban at all yet.
Scary.
Because if we do Korriban after the Leviathan, which is the sort of sequence we're going to get in a minute here. Stop freezing me.
That's very unlucky.
Usually these droids will attack the Selkath rather than you. but I got carbonited by one of them. And the carbonite stun, unless you make a save, lasts 9 seconds. So that's pretty unlucky.
That may have some pretty bad consequences going forward. So we're about to go into this underwater section, which anyone who's played this game casually will remember as being incredibly painful because you move very, very slowly when you're in the environment suit underwater. This is one of those sections of the run where we really, really want duration glitch to be active with an alacrity stim and force speed. If it's not, it makes this underwater section last so much longer than it already does.
So the scuba suit here is so slow that save teleports are ineffective. The only redeeming feature of this scuba suit is you can cast buffs before you put it on, and they will remain active. We have right now force speed and adrenal alacrity on, so we're moving twice as fast as we normally would, and it's still pretty slow.
Yeah, this is 2x speed.
Buffering
Nice.
another cutscene. That one is definitely.
That's actually a difficult cutscene to skip because our saves are so large now, and buffering is becoming so much more difficult.
I actually I totally forgot I normally disable VSync for that buffer, and I just
went for it.
YOLO.
I pulled that out. It was good.
You'll also notice if you've played this game before, so we have this sonic emitter that helps us kill these sharks before they eat us. We're not actually using it. You won't see the character go through the animation of activating it, but we're going into the menu to activate it, which skips the animation playing and just instantly kills the sharks, which is nice.
It is faster to open your inventory menu, press enter to use the sonic emitter, and close the inventory menu than it is to watch the... It's like a 3-second animation, which is
it's pretty...
No,
it's pretty long.
I won't let you open the door for those mugs.
And this is where you just gotta kind of convince these guys. But you can buffer this, right?
You can buffer it.
Yeah.
That buffer is a little awkward too, especially with the long save. The awkward save teleport saves.
It's just another result of our saves being pretty large. Like I said, buffers become increasingly difficult as the run goes off if you have VSync on. So it's not at all uncommon to start trying to buffer cutscenes that play and just fail, and you have to mash through them. Yeah, there actually does come a point late in the run where it's actually faster to mash through certain cutscenes than it is to even try to buffer.
You just solved a devious logic puzzle. You spare the progenitor, who's the source of all Colta. And it's a classic logic puzzle. You have 3 containers of specific sizes, and you have to get a certain amount of liquid in one of the containers. But I just remember it as 1, 2, 4, 2, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5.
1, 2, 4, 2, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5. 1,
2, 4, 2, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5.
One of the classic conversations that every KOTOR runner knows.
Yeah, that one's
Unless they
never
only do
changed.
any percent.
Oh, true.
Yeah, if you
skip
in
it.
any percent, in any percent NMG, we actually skip that puzzle by buffering the cutscene with the progenitor that would kill us instantly on the bridge. We have to do that twice, one on the way to the star map and one on the way back.
We're getting
and you notice that the
horsepower here. Sorry, called Drain Life. We're gonna need Drain Life. We're not gonna use Drain Life at all unless I'm trying to be fancy. Until the very last fight, and then it is super important. So it's important to make that up.
Yeah, it makes the Malik fight much shorter than it otherwise would be. Looks like we've gotten pretty lucky with our duration glitch. We're still moving reasonably fast.
So the nice thing about duration glitch is if you do the same things at the same times, you will be consistent. And I mentioned before, when we're doing a memory reset, resetting from an autosave turns off the duration glitch. I used to reset on the autosave sort of coming down to this underwater station, and now I don't do that. I do it on a quick save, and thus far, at least, the duration glitch has been consistent.
Everyone wave to Darth Bandit.
Yeah, he wants to kill us. We're just gonna kind of scoot around. Similar to Cal Nord, he shows up after you've gotten all but one of the star maps.
You've returned. Oh.
Yeah, it's a trend in these speedruns that we show the ultimate disrespect to our enemies by completely ignoring them.
So this is like, yeah, Manon is the diplomatically neutral planet between the Sith and the Republic, and they're interrogating you about your role in what you just did in the Culto control.
Yeah, it's actually convenient that they arrest us here and take us to the courtroom because it puts us back in Otto West, which is where we need to be to start the Sunry murder trial, which we did all that investigation for. It's also where we need to turn in quests for the Selkath youngsters and another quest that we picked up in the bar here.
We're gonna need an update on lightsaber color.
Alrighty, let me double check. We are still violet.
Alright, sounds good.
Who are you?
It's time to be the worst defense attorney in the galaxy. We represent Sunry, and our first acting course is to present a recording of him committing the murder for which he is accused.
Yeah, fun fact, we don't actually have to talk to Sunry before we investigate. So we gathered all the evidence and talked to all the witnesses, and then immediately before we started the trial, we talked to Sunry for the first time. And if you don't skip the cutscene, it's actually kind of funny. He goes, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Yes.
You're supposed to sort of be there with Jolie, because Jolie is the person. That's who the quest is related to. But you don't actually have to have Jolie with you for any part of that. We've now talked to Juhani as much as we need to, so we're going to fly to Korriban and get caught by the Leviathan. So it's time to make a dramatic escape.
What's going on?
Yeah, so the middle of the game is kind of, you do 3 of the 4 planets that become available to you after Dantooine in any order that you want. And after you have 4 total star maps, including the one on Dantooine, you get captured. And there's some plot that happens on the Leviathan, some exposition, and then you go do the final planet of the 4. Leviathans in the KOTOR speedrunning community pretty notorious for being extremely difficult. I think in basically every category that goes to Leviathan, it's one of the more difficult parts of the run. Largely because it forces you to have Bastila and Karth in your party. Bastila and Karth are very bad at following you, as all other party members are. They like to get into combat with Sith soldiers that are on the other side of the walls. They have a tendency to ruin your day.
Yeah, it's to the point where I'm not actually going to save teleport for part of this because it's easier to keep them with you if you're just running. So you have to pick a party member to rescue you. Mission is the fastest because she starts closest to the key card. That will get you out. And you can buffer the cutscene that usually plays at the start of her segment here. You'll notice we're not doing much other than grabbing the key card and then save teleporting to the detention area. That was mission's time to shine.
And normally there's a pretty long cutscene that plays where Mission gets locked in a cell and steals the key from the soldier that throws her in, but we buffered that so that we didn't have to watch it.
In glitchless categories, it's faster to use Andorus because for whatever reason, he does not have a cutscene at the beginning of his little prison break segment. Jolie is also pretty fast, but you have to watch his cutscene. But he has force speed, whereas Canderous just has stints. All right.
I think we used to use Juhani in NMG, who's reasonably fast. She spawns in kind of an inconvenient spot.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Sure. This is this specific module we're in is one of the more annoying ones for your party following you successfully. But luckily we've kind of found a method that is mostly consistent. It kind of depends on what that first Sith guard there does. If he throws a grenade, which he did, it's really good for us because he won't be able to get another attack off on us. The grenade will whiff if we keep running, and our party members won't enter combat, so their AI won't go crazy and stop following us. So we can literally just run past, and we can almost make it basically the entire way we need to go without we just kill that one guard in the corner. Anyway, I think. Yeah, and we get through this loading zone without any problem right there. That's great.
Yes, so you saw Indy quick save there because the 3 Dark Jedi Masters in that room have a tendency to ruin your day. They can slow you, they can stun your party members, and if you go through a loading zone with a party member stunned, that actually gets duration glitched. So duration glitch can hurt us as much as it is helpful throughout the run if we're not paying pretty close attention to debuffs on our party members.
So this is a trick called spacewalk skip. Normally you're supposed to put a spacesuit on, and the spacesuit is just as slow as the scuba suit, except it wipes all your buffs ahead of time, so it's even slower. So spacesuit skip allows us to instead keep our normal running speed while we go through that section there. Basically just skip the part where it puts the suit on.
I'm here.
Yeah, there's a brief delay between the door to the outside opening and the game forcing you to put the suit on. So if you quick save in that window, you can quick load and you won't have the suit. So upcoming here is one of the scarier tricks in the run called Sol Skip. So what Indy's going to do is going to position Karth and Bastila in this room in the corner so that they're near the exit. And then in front of this door, he's going to save, because this can actually soft lock the entire run.
That looked good, I think.
That should work. So what he did there was open the door and buffer 2 to 3 times. It can be variable depending on whether or not you have VSync on or off. And by opening the door and then quick save buffering and then loading, the door is open, we can get in, but the cutscene that plays with Sol Karath that normally results in a huge fight that's actually pretty difficult doesn't start. So we're able to just interact with the computer to unlock the tractor beam on the hangar so that we can escape, and then we leave the bridge without ever killing Sol Karath or resolving Karth's plot at all. That is valid for all quests because Karth's quest actually completes when you talk to him about his son before you pick up that quest. If you talk to Saul, his quest is restarted, but because we never do that, Karth is still a completed quest.
It's also this is the place where being a male character saves time, because a female character would not be able to complete Karth's quest before this point. So whereas a male character can. Haven't looked into all the details of how the female character would work with Karth's quest, but there's a chance that you would actually have to fight Sol Karath if you were a female character in order to complete Karth's quest. This is
that would be
a great cutscene when you have Sith armor. So this is the big reveal.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Except I know some of you may not have played this, so I have removed the spoilers.
Who is Revan?
I just removed Revan completely. If you're wearing the Sith armor, your character is invisible in this module in which the cutscene takes place.
Oh, that's amazing. That's incredible, actually.
It is the main reason I wanted to wear Sith armor. So in standard runs, we don't wear Sith armor because it costs about 6 to 8 seconds to actually keep it. So I'm really glad I got to keep it for this run.
Yeah, we like that image. It's actually, if you join the Knights of the Old Republic speedrunning Discord, the display picture of the server is a picture of that face, or lack thereof. We have a couple rounds of combat with Malik here, but we have so many buffs that we basically one-shot him both times. Sorry, range.
Yeah, the first one can be a 2-round, but we got it 1 round, so we're good.
No, no!
Bye, Bastila. All right, that was a pretty good Leviathan, actually.
Overall, everything went very smoothly. Yeah, that was nice.
One other. I got to skip killing a couple Sith soldiers that you don't always get to skip. At least I got that as well. Great one. This is the forced warrior skirmish, by the way.
Yeah, the two Sith soldiers by the elevator, very frequently Bastila and Karth will decide that they want to kill them, and then they won't follow you into the elevator until those two soldiers are dead.
If you're quick about your save teleports, you can avoid them, but it's pretty precise. So.
And now we're on Korriban, which is the final planet, and all of the quests that we need to have unlocked to complete Korriban in one go are unlocked, which is convenient for us. Before we leave, we're just going to talk to Jolie real quick to progress his quest. Jolie's one of the more interesting party member quests in that if you just make him mad, he doesn't want to talk to you anymore, and his quest finishes. So that's what we're going to do. There's dialogue choices that'll basically piss him off and make him not talk to you anymore. And now we're done with Jolie's quest.
If you don't annoy him,
Yeah, what are you?
oh, we need a lightsaber color again.
I hope.
We are still purple.
Okay. If you don't annoy him, you have to talk to him 9 times, but the earliest you can annoy him is on the 3rd conversation. So we saved 6 conversations by just kind of being a jerk.
And so we're going to get 3 quest activation conversations in a row here. This first one is for the premium merchant on Korriban. The second one will be for Juhani's quest, which will resolve later. And then the third one will be Threat from Joggy, which is tied to Canderous. Normally you have to progress Canderous's dialogue to a certain point to unlock this quest, but if you just do the Leviathan and talk to him once, the same flag gets set by that conversation. So that'll be coming up here. Normally, so what happens is Joggy will challenge Canderous to single combat, and Canderous, being an honorable Mandalorian, accepts, which normally you would have to go to Tatooine to do. But if you just talk to Joggy again, right after the first conversation, the second conversation happens. So we've just finished the Threat from Joggy quest by talking to him again here on Korriban.
Oh, I actually failed the persuade check. That is a hard persuade check. So if you don't have Valor on, you have a 75% chance to pass it.
I shall be.
I cast Valor, but it wore off before I got to the persuade check, and then I failed the 75%.
Yeah, what are you?
So that was pretty unlucky. But that's why you quick save. Alright, we swapped Canderous out for Karth, because Karth has his son's quest inside the academy here.
Look here,
You can skip this conversation, but it's sometimes tricky because your save teleports are so big now.
Yeah.
This
Fast shopping up to the run, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get some stims, and then just for some safety, grab some life support packs. This is another quest where we finish it by telling the person that we don't want to help them. That's the quest that's related to the mind prison and the riddles that you can do with the imprisoned Ricotta.
Sure.
What?
But it's quickest to just be
What
like,
is it?
no,
Yes?
I don't want to help you, go away. And leave it alone. We are very curmudgeonly in this run.
What?
Behave more like a normal person, rather than helping everyone we come across. Some of our responses are, I'm busy, go away.
Yeah.
So we need access to the Sith Academy to progress the main quest on this planet, so we have to convince Yathura to let us in. This is another one of those hard persuade checks, but if you fail it, you can just reload.
I remember.
The Sith
And
Academy
we loaded.
is a fairly complicated section as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of micro movement inside the Academy itself that is pretty complicated, and then just the overall routing on Korriban is actually fairly specific. So the gist of Korriban is you do side quests and tell Uthar about them to gain prestige with Uthar. And when you gain enough prestige with Uthar, Uthar takes you to the Tomb of Nagasato to finish up the main quest on Korriban. However, we have to be pretty specific about which quests we use to gain prestige with Uthar, because if we use the wrong ones, certain other quests don't complete and it invalidates the run. So we have to specifically tell Uthar certain things that we did in order to impress him.
Juhani was not cooperating in terms of save teleports.
I just...
So one of the things we have to do is persuade Kel to return to the Jedi. You can also snitch on him or actually kill him yourself, but both of those mean you will be unable to complete some other quest.
Yeah, tell me. Go.
Yeah, so talking to Yuthura, she lets us in on her secret evil plan to kill Uthar, who's her master, and we're going to immediately snitch on her to Uthar, and Uthar's going to assume that we're going to help him kill Yuthura, and we're immediately going to snitch on him to Yuthura, who will give us some poison to put in Uthar's room. So we've engaged in a double cross.
He's open.
And this is definitely an area where it's really hard to optimally like save teleport around. Very challenging section of the run.
Sure, ready.
Yeah, there's a lot of corners to get caught on when you're save teleporting. And our save teleports are so powerful here that if we kind of want to take a relatively straight line through hallways, but if we take a too straight line, we'll usually just warp to the complete opposite side of the academy, which usually overshoots the target you're going
method to make your save teleports, like control them and make them less crazy, is to rub against a wall while you do it. But that's also like a very volatile method. It's like useful and you gotta go for it sometimes, but like you could just go nowhere, you could get like turned around, all kinds of crazy stuff.
You can bounce off walls if you're save teleporting, and that gets really messy really fast.
Yeah.
One thing I will do to help control my save teleports is use force speed, because that makes your save teleports weaker. But in more confined quarters like this tomb here, I need to do a memory reset right now. Like this tomb here, it's actually better to have speed on, because your save teleports are so powerful that even with speed on, you'll still get a good teleport, but it's much more manageable.
Yeah, so there's 4 tombs here in the Valley of the Dark Lords. We'll need to go into 3 of them on this trip, and then the 4th one gets unlocked by gaining enough prestige with Uthar, and we get taken there automatically. So here in the Tomb of Ajunta Paul, there's a little puzzle that we have to do with picking the right sword based on a riddle, and we'll encounter this Force Ghost here. We used to turn this Force Ghost back to the light side, but you actually have to be light aligned to do that, and we're dark aligned right now, so that option isn't available to us.
Over time, the route has gotten much more evil. We're actually so dark side we could challenge him to a fight right now.
I saw you,
but that's than just saying goodbye.
It turns out when Yoda said that the dark side was quicker, he wasn't lying.
It's true. Right? In Tula Quartz Tomb, there's a crazy old hermit named Jorah Alm, and he's going to capture me and hit me in a quiz against another student named Meekle. And if I give proper Sith answers, I will be spared torture, and Meekle would be tortured instead. But I can also choose to give good and just answers and take the torture myself. Unsurprisingly, it's faster to not get tortured.
Yeah, it also lets us avoid having to fight Jorak, which you wouldn't think it this late in the game with as powerful as we are, but the fight with Jorak Oln is actually pretty difficult. He brings some droids out. It's very easy to die even at a high level in this fight. There's a lot of damage to him.
Yeah.
Just want to point out that interact with the computer console was unreasonably long. We have no idea why.
Yeah, it's just randomly takes forever. Now, normally the Tukata block this hallway here. Looks like I got a little lucky. Pass. Oh, that's good. Alright. Now, outside this tube is Lasho. She has a lead on a Sith holocron. And so we're going to work with her to kill the Tukata who have the holocron. And then we're going to kill her when she tries to take the holocron for herself.
There you are.
It's not an evil act, because she tried to betray us first, so we don't get any dark side points for it, which is nice.
We're merely defending our profit margin. Oh, go for the swag. Yes.
Nice.
Retreat life killed her. She's like right on the border of a 1-round or a 2-round fight. So if you don't 1-round her, you can often have the pleasure of draining her life
Intruders
away.
detected. Excessive audio input from the master. Initiate.
I promise I'm not a bad guy.
This part's funny because you literally just have to kill all of them. But you're so strong.
Yeah, here you'll see the Force Leap that the Jedi Guardian gets as a trait in action that he'll use to kind of move from one group to the other if they're not very close. Glitchless any % actually has some pretty complicated tech in this hallway. You want to Force Leap the specific droids that will die in one hit, because the droids in this hallway come in 3 tiers, right? 3, 4, and 5. So I think you can one-shot 3s and 4s, but you will not one-shot 5s, so you don't want to jump to 5s.
Yeah, one-shotting 5s is not consistent. You can do it if you're lucky, but it's not consistent. It's hard to force jump in that hallway, though, because there's a lot of droids, there's a lot of random rubble that it can get in the way without it seeming like it would get in the way. Because in order to force, you have to have line of sight, and line of sight can be broken by a rock on the ground. So
yeah, unfortunately, obstacles that block line of sight, even if they're on the ground, their hitboxes kind of extend upward because your character can't go through those coordinates.
Okay. So the Sith students here, you can either kill them or free them by killing the Terentitech that's in their way. We are going to free them. We used to kill them because basically the choice we have is to either kill these students and get bodied here. Either kill these students or kill the droid that we just killed. If you kill the students, you have to repair the droid. And repairing the droid actually takes a long time. There's a lot of long animations and it's a long conversation. So it ends up generally being slightly faster.
Hold it right.
To kill the Terentitech and destroy the droid.
And actually right behind the Terentitech, for anybody that might consider playing this game, is the most powerful chest armor for light side aligned consulars in the game before you get to the Starforge. We won't get it even in a normal speedrun, just because it's not really necessary for us, but very powerful item.
It's called the Keldroma Rose. Okay, we are starting to get close to the end game, so we probably have about 10 minutes left for the light side versus dark side ending bid war. So perhaps we can get an update on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment, the light side end is in the lead by only $10. Let's go ahead, since it's about 10 minutes away, let's make this the last call. So please do get in that donation so that there's time to process before we need the verdict.
So then.
And we are almost done with Korriban now. We've completed all of the side quests. We just have to finish up with the star map and then confront Uthar and Euthura.
Very well.
To escape.
And yeah, completing all the side quests in Korriban is definitely a routing challenge because there's a lot of ways to lock yourself out of other quests by doing certain actions in one quest. So we had to find the way. Really, I think there's 2 ways you can do it, and this category does it one way, and then unrestricted does it the other way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
So you saw Indy toggle VSync off there because by buffering into this room, we prevent a cutscene from playing, which locks this door behind us, which we would have to unlock by interacting with a lever that's behind one of the Tyranitarchs. So even though we had to toggle VSync, it's still a little bit faster than letting the cutscene play and having to unlock the door. And in that room, we also picked up the Solari Crystal, which is the most powerful lightsaber crystal in the game, which, as I said before, is light side aligned. It gives us extra 1d8 damage against dark side users, which, incidentally, is basically the entirety of the final level's enemies. So very useful crystal to have.
But only if we do light side end.
Only if we do light side end.
So it's time for the final confrontation of sorts. If you remember, we decided to sabotage Uthar, but then we also told Uthar about it, but then we still decided to kill him.
He just used a lifesaver.
Oh, he just went hard.
If you don't kill Uthar early, he just goes like Super Saiyan.
But he drained life so many times.
You got all your buffs stripped. That's unfortunate.
Alright. We spare Euthura because we don't want the Sith Academy to attack us when we go back. Because it makes it much faster to leave this planet. So it's important to kill Uthar but spare Euthura.
Yeah, so the Academy will be hostile if you kill both of them. You can side with one or the other, and the Academy students won't attack you on your way back. So since we kill Uthar, we don't want to kill Euthura.
One of the places where the safe teleports are just utterly ridiculous. Got across the entire Valley of the Dark Lords in 3 safe teleports. Okay. Now we have a fight coming up for Juhani's side quest. Stay up for that. And we need a lightsaber color check soon, too.
We can stay with purple.
And what's sort of interesting idiosyncrasy about this whole Academy subplot, and it's kind of strange what choices the developers made when it came to what is and isn't a quest. So there's this whole subplot with Euthura where you can actually redeem her and turn her back to the light side. And
sorry, what was the lightsaber color? Is it still purple?
Stay with purple.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, you can actually redeem Euthura and turn her back to the light side, and if you do Korriban before Dantooine is destroyed and you go back to Dantooine, you'll actually find her there. This isn't a quest, so it's not required for this run. It's just sort of interesting what choices were made in terms of making things a codified quest, because there's a lot of story beats that occur outside of quests, actually, including that one.
Yeah, the quest journal for this game is not at all consistent in how it treats quests, which is kind of frustrating. Alright, that was the last possible random skirmish, so I think we got 3 skirmishes. And I'm getting all turned around.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Well, one's guaranteed, so we probably lost about 30 seconds to random skirmishes. Okay, here we are in Lahan. It's the final planet before the Star Forge.
Beginning of the end game.
Yeah, we're in the end.
Yeah, so that all went really fast. Normally there's a few cutscenes that play, but the map cutscene skips that we've been doing to skip the cutscenes between planets let us skip a fighter skirmish that normally plays when you approach Lahan, and also a couple of cutscenes. And as a result of never having seen the cutscene where the Ebonhawk crash lands on Lahan, when we entered the beach area for the first time, it spawned us at the default spawn location for that module, which just happens to be like halfway up the beach past a bunch of enemies that normally would get activated, so that saves quite a bit of time.
Yet another group of Mandalorians where you only have to kill one.
The leader, you gotta loot his head as well.
Alright, this skip is for Shoal.
Kinda gnarly. You gotta sever his head? Sheesh! Our guy is evil.
The Ricotta don't play around.
That's true.
So we just skipped a cutscene where a Gizka wanders onto a plasma mine and gets killed.
Save the Gizka.
Is this new? Don't you normally
It's
return to Ebonhawk? Oh, I see what you're doing.
What I do is go all the way up to the Elder settlement, because then when I'm returning back, I can add T3 when I return back. It's like slightly, very slightly better.
Yeah, so there's 2 Rakatan settlements here on Lahan. One called the Elders, and then one that's just called Rakatans. So this is the Rakatan village. Their leader is called the One. The last time we were on this planet, that didn't occur in this game, we apparently made a deal with both sides and then betrayed both sides, so both sides are mad at us. So we're going to talk to the One, and we can't really resolve this conflict violently right now because there's a quest outside the village that we have to turn in. So we're just going to talk to him and then leave the village, turn that quest in, and then we'll come back and resolve this conflict between the 2 villages.
I have tried very hard to find a way to not have to backtrack totally out of this enclave to turn in the quest. But as far as I can tell, it's not possible.
Yes, the NPC for the quest just not there until you talk to the One.
So that was a save teleport where I actually let go of the running buttons in the middle of it to try and shorten its distance. You can do that, but it's pretty inconsistent. So I only use it in like 1 or 2 places. Not too much. It worked out pretty well there, because normally if you just do a full save teleport, you crash into the cliff behind them or something. And now we have to go all the way back in to tell the One, I've changed my mind, I'm going to betray you again.
But these save teleports, though...
Yes, it's not quite so bad in this category because our save teleports are so strong.
Yeah.
In glitchless, it's really, you run in here, you run out, you talk to the guy, you run back in, it's a lot of running.
All things considered, though, glitchless all quests still pretty fast. Only about 3 hours.
Yeah, just under 3 hours. So this is a neat trick. By avoiding combat until you talk to the Elder Warrior, you make it so that you don't actually have to fight any of these Rancors or Rakata Warriors or anything like that. I am altering again.
Yeah, it's actually kind of surprising how little time all these glitches save in terms of real time over glitchless all quest. Like, it's quite a bit. It's 30 minutes or so. But if you looked at it and just looked at how broken all the movement is and all the things that we can skip, you would think it would be more. At least I would.
Well, all quests unrestricted, chat, is about an hour and 20 minutes or something. It's shorter than that, right? Or no?
It's
no, it's like hour 20. 26. Okay, so about with RTA, it's like an hour and 45 minutes. So
it's just barely longer than any percent NMG and still shorter than glitchless any percent.
I'm gonna try to avoid doing another memory reset. There's a trick coming up where I actually have to reset my game in order to skip a cutscene. And so I try to do my last memory reset there. I have about 100 megabytes of memory to play with, so we're gonna be pushing it kinda tight.
That's not very much.
Sure. For context, whoops. Each one of my quick saves takes about 25 megabytes. Okay, so that's the last side quest there. 3, and now if I can get to this next load zone and like resave teleports, we should be able to pay. Well, it's gonna be close. Cross your fingers.
As long as we don't do a As long as we don't have a quick save crash on the next quick save, which is required.
Yes, one more quick save without crashing.
But we do have an autosave right there, so if we crash, it's not the end of the world.
It's not going to be a bad crash, but I really want this to work.
Yeah, so one of the stipulations that the Rakatans put on us to open this door for us is that we go into the temple alone. So we approached the campsite alone, and then all of our party members, Jolie and Juhani, just joined us and decided to go in with us. Oh no.
He crashed.
No.
Alas.
Flew too close to the sun.
Well, and now I'm loading from an autosave, so it's gonna mess up my duration glitch, probably. Oh well. We went for it. We do need to close the ending door now.
Okay, consider it closed. And with a unanimous monetary vote of $10, the winner is going to be that light side end.
All right.
By the book.
Actually, I've been practicing dark side end because that's the one I'm not used to. So I haven't actually done light side end in like 2 months. It's okay. It's pretty easy. All right.
Yeah,
That's
so normally when you
memory reset.
Normally when you walk into that temple, there's a long cutscene that plays where Malik is discussing his evil plan to crush the Republic fleet, but there's a really brief window where we can quick save before that plays, and then when we load in, we'll swap Jolie out of our party for Canderous. And there's a specific reason for that that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, my stems wore off when they weren't supposed to.
No.
That's okay. I have backups.
Yeah, so the whole idea of this level is you're trying to get to the summit, which has a console that'll let you leave the planet after you interact with it, but the door to the summit is locked, so we have to go to the basement to unlock it. And down here there's just a couple droids that should die in yet one hit, and an extremely aggravating puzzle on the floor that if you don't know how to solve it, can take quite a long time. Even if you do know how to solve it, the movement in this game is kind of inconsistent sometimes. Like, yeah, see.
Okay. That's one of those puzzles where if you step on a tile, it lights up, where it changes the state of the tiles you step on and the tiles that are directly adjacent to it. You just have to be kind of... It's an H shape. If you walk in an H shape, then you solve the puzzle. But I missed one of the tiles. Turned around too soon.
What is it?
And now, rather than running back to the entrance to the temple, if you just run to the end of this hallway up, and then do a gather party warp, the main character is just barely close enough to the temple summit that they'll be warped to that load trigger instead of the one that they just came through. And then the party members are also just close enough to go into the temple summit.
This fight is actually where you choose light side or dark side. Well, the conversation after the fight.
And so we're doing light side, yes?
Yep.
Yes.
You can just mash one.
Yay. You have
And
all
Juhani's-
spared Juhani's life.
And Juhani's quest automatically completes after that, so this run is valid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you choose Darkside, so normally Jolie and Juhani are both in your party, and choosing Darkside forces you to kill both of them. And as we've said, for whatever reason, when you kill Juhani, her quest just doesn't complete.
I would think that would be somewhat final.
Yeah, it's
But
it seems like a conclusion point, but I guess the developers disagreed.
well, that's kind of one of the instances I mean. I say that it's inconsistent. To oh, my party didn't follow me well enough.
There we go.
Yeah,
that
so we can't.
module- I guess we'll have to do this.
Yeah, so we can't swap party members out at this point. The game prevents us from doing that as a result of the story events that just happened. But we have this quest in the Rakatan village that we have to go turn in. That we got the quest item for in the temple. So we have to run with party members all the way back to the Rakatan village, which with these 2 rancors that our party members like to get into combat with and then immediately die can be kind of a pain.
Sure.
Alright, we just have to turn in the side quest and then head back to the Ebon Hawk, and then we are off to the end. We just got master speed, so now we're powered up for the Star Forge. Alright, so we just gotta try and get past this 1 Rancor without our party members intervening. It's kind of in a bad spot.
Your wish?
What? Saving allows.
Why?
Oh yeah, sorry if you might have come in a little bit later and not understand why the quick saves are kind of all over the place. Quick saves are extremely useful for delaying cutscenes from starting. It's basically the foundational feature of most of this category's speed tech.
Sure. Yeah.
And then also if you quick save and hold down both mouse buttons to move.
Are we still purple for lightsaber?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, we are.
Okay. We have now reached the part of the game where the game deletes all your data because you're not allowed to go to anywhere but the end game now. And so our save teleports are now no longer useful. So if you are sick of the save screen, we're done with that.
Yeah, the only time we'll quick save after this is to buffer cutscenes. There's no more save teleports.
Admiral Dodano, this is Carthanasi. We're receiving your transmission.
And then we have this 2.5 or so minute cutscene on our way to the Star Forge, which is not skippable in this category.
We call this the unskippable cutscene because for the first 10 years or so of KOTOR speedrunning, it was unskippable. And it wasn't until Lane found the Anywhere menu glitch that we were able to finally skip the unskippable 2.5 minute cutscene.
The Star Forge is a factory of immense power. It's been
unfortunately, that's considered a major glitch. So in no major glitches, we have to watch this very dramatic setup.
Yeah, a little short KOTOR speedrunning history lesson. It's interesting, if you go to speedrun.com and look at the KOTOR page, there's statistics that you can see in the any % unrestricted speedrun of how long the run has been over time. There's like a history tab. And Lane joining the community in about 2019 coincides with a very significant reduction in the length of the any % speedrun due to discoveries of the Anywhere menu glitch and contributions from other people like HotshotWire discovering hotshots which let us warp around between modules using the save menu in combination with the Anywhere menu glitch. So those 2 individuals and their discoveries have contributed to probably more reduction in the length of the speedrun than any other 2 people.
For context, the any % unrestricted speedrun has a current record of 18 minutes and 3 seconds, held by someone named Range.
Hey, that's me.
So this game is very broken. Hello.
Oh yeah.
My toddler is trying to breach the barricade.
Oh, that's so cute.
Hi.
It's a good time for that to happen in this cutscene.
It's a long story, but my streaming setup is in the kitchen. So we had to set up a makeshift barricade so there wouldn't just be a toddler bothering me the whole time. Alright. We have to do one thing before we leave the Ebon Hawk here, and that's talk to Canderous.
This looks...
That completes his quest. And now, the reason Lightside is better for this run is we don't have to take any party members with us. So we just take ourselves and we run past all the enemies and get to the final bosses. If you do Darkside End, you're forced to bring Bastila with you, which is not horrible. We just end up moving her around with some GP warps. There's a little barrier here because we have to get past this assault droid pair. They're frozen because we skipped the cutscene that makes them active.
We call that parting the Red Sea.
Yeah, those two will step aside after one round of combat. And we can jump to these pairs of droids here. All the questing is done except for finishing the game, so we're just bolting to the end as fast as we can.
Yeah, there is still Bastila's quest is active, and then the main quest is active, and Bastila's quest will be resolved on the way to the final boss fight with Malik.
Yeah, we will have to confront her, and confronting her and finishing that finishes her quest.
Yeah, if you choose Darkside Ending, her quest completes, I think, on Lahan when you rejoin her.
Yes.
Interestingly, so the category that does choose Darkside Ending because it's faster is any % unrestricted, because it is actually faster to have a party member with you in the unrestricted rule set. There's a lot of really creative ways that you can get from one end of these levels to the other that don't involve just running. But NMG and Glitchless are basically forced to just stack buffs and run as fast as possible.
So if you're thinking it's kind of quiet, there's a reason for that. I did a trick called IndyKenobi, which was named after me because I found it. You can save teleport in a very specific position and skip over the trigger that spawns most of the enemies in this hallway. And so by doing that, you make running through this hallway much more consistent, because all of the Dark Jedi that would normally be in here will try to do bad force things to you, like Whirlwind or Stasis or Plague or all these things. So IndyKenobi makes it much more consistent. It's actually probably slightly slower than getting good luck with the Dark Jedi, because if the enemies don't spawn, you can't force jump to them. And without save teleports, force jumping is our fastest form of movement. So yes, yeah, I have a skip named after me that actually loses time.
I really think that's like every streamer's dream legacy, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows what IndyKenobi is because it's such a silly little trick. But I like it.
So here we're buffering into a cutscene trigger where normally these Sith apprentices become hostile. And by open buffering, which is when you spam quick save to delay the cutscene and then allow the cutscene to play, it breaks the AI on these Dark Jedi so that only one of them will attack you at a time, which is pretty convenient compared to having to deal with all three of them attacking you and casting force powers on you to try to, you know, purge your buffs and stuff like that. So that makes that fight much more consistent.
Taking a quick save before this Bastila fight, because if there's a skip you can do in the middle of this fight that skips sort of her second phase. But if you accidentally do it at the wrong time, you can actually soft lock you yourself. So we're quick saving, just in case.
Yeah, so there's 3 phases of this Bastila fight where basically you just have to get her to low health to transition to the next phase, and there's a conversation between phases 1 and 2 and phases 2 and 3. But by mashing the default action, which is to initiate a new conversation after the first conversation ends, you just completely skip phase 2, and now the fight's over. And because we're a male character with high persuasion, we can just mash 1, and it completes Bastila's quest without her trying to kill us and forcing us to defend ourselves.
There, a break in the Sith formations. Green Squadron, move
Almost
in.
done.
Green squadron
We have
moving in.
one more save buffer, and then the final fight.
Yeah, so normally you're not supposed to have party members with you at this stage of the Starforge. They get removed from your party before the Bastila fight. But after the Bastila fight, there's a brief moment before that Green Squadron cutscene played where Indy opened his party member cutscene and was able to add Mission and Jolie to the party. Having Jolie is nice because by default he has an ability called Disable Droid, which in combination with our Drain Life ability is going to let us make pretty short work of Malik's multiple phase fight.
Alright, so the basic plan for this fight is to hit him a lot in the first phase, and then we're going to split up Jolie and our main character to have them each take half of the so-called Jedi popsicles, or these Jedi that are hanging in stasis over here.
Continue to
If you don't deal with the Jedi popsicles yourself, then Malik will use them to fully heal, as he's about to demonstrate in this cutscene. And so if you don't have anything that can deal with them, then he heals himself 7 times, or 8 times rather, and you have to kill him 9 times. We really don't want to do that, so we're gonna not.
Where the majority of the difficulty in this fight comes from for casual players is if you get to this point with no party members because the game forces you to be alone, and you don't have Drain Life or Disable or Destroy Droid, or otherwise don't see that you can use them on the Jedi Popsicles. Yeah, this fight takes forever.
The other nice thing is if you use Drain Life on them, like I have on my main character, it fully heals. Alright. So timing is going to end pretty soon. And time. We're done.
Wow, GG.
GG's, that was a good run. Very good run.
That was pretty smooth. The Pazak was good, that's nice.
Pazak was good, everything's good, just that one crash, really.
Yeah, that was too bad. That was too bad. What time did I get?
233.01 RTA.
Okay. I think my PB is at 225
Yep.
RTA. That's pretty good.
That seems amazing. Really great work. Do you have any words you would like to share with people maybe interested in getting into running this game, or even just interested in playing it casually?
So, so first of all, it's a great game casually. This is one of my top games of all time. So it's usually available pretty cheaply on Steam. Most of us run the Steam version. But there's also GOG, or if you're really OG, you can run off the discs with not much issue. We have a Discord, which you can find through speedrun.com, and we're a very welcoming community. I want to give a shout out to everyone in the KOTOR community. You guys make this game a lot of fun to run, guys and gals. So. We also have a fairly comprehensive set of guides for this game, which was referenced a little bit earlier. So we're very friendly for beginning runners. NMG is a nice rule set if you're interested in getting started. It gets you some of the glitches in the game without having to worry about the crazier ones that Unrestricted does.
There you are. What happened?
Yeah. We are always excited to have new runners, so if you're interested,
That's
pop over to the Discord
news.
and
There's no time
we'll
to
help you
celebrate
get
just
started.
yet. I was able to use
Excellent.
to allow the Republic to
Shoutouts
break through
to
the Sith
Ranged and
fleet.
Binks for
The capital
commentating
ships
for
are in
me. Thanks for
bombardment
hanging out. It
range.
was a good
And
time.
that means we all have to get out of here right
And
now before
Thanks
this
for having
entire complex
A
comes
big
down.
shout out
for
to your
having us.
wife for
Everyone else
watching
is
our
already on
2
the ship.
kids
Let's
while I
move.
did this run.
I love the teamwork involved. Yeah, thanks for showing off this super fun game. I did, while I have y'all on the mic, wanted to make sure I read this one, that we got a $40 donation from Lane, who writes, "To my friend Happy Bear, hope everything works out. Much love from the KOTOR fellas."
Definitely.
And with that, that's gonna be it for this awesome game. But y'all, don't go anywhere. We have so much fun coming up later today. We're looking forward to Kirby, Bomberman, Zelda, all kinds of great stuff. So don't go anywhere, and please continue to enjoy.